Hey, everybody, welcome to the Jim Masters Show live. It's good to see all of you here, and thank you very much for joining us. I am your host, Jim Masters. It's a pleasure to have you guys tuning in. How's everybody doing? It is Friday. It is the start of the Memorial Day holiday weekend here in the United States, and we realize we have an international audience, and we welcome everybody who's watching from all around the world. Our Lovity Squad, as we call them. They are the folks who watch all the time, and they're very dedicated to the show, and they're very vocal and passionate about the Jim Masters Show Live, and we love them very, very much. Thanks to all the Lovities who watch and share and tag and support and celebrate JMS Live, our entertainment lifestyle talk show series that we've been doing for over a year with over 400 plus episodes, live 7 days a week, and it's extraordinary. Tomorrow, special guest live from Ireland, singer, songwriter, and musician Daisy Conway is going to be here. She's absolutely amazing. She's all excited. She's been blasting away on social media, telling everybody that she's going to be here. That's going to be at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, and that'll be 8 p.m. in Ireland, GMT, Ireland, Scotland, England. So join us for a great show of live music, inspiring conversation, and more. That's tomorrow, which is Saturday on this Memorial Day weekend. Happy early Memorial Day weekend for those of you who are watching live right now. Again, if you're watching this a year from now, happy day. Good to have you with us. Again, I'm Jim Masters, your host. We have a good time on this show. We have lots of inspiring conversation. We learn something new, lots of levity, lots of surprises. Of course, you know, when you are on the internet and you're live, anything can happen. It could also happen on stage, radio, television, and usually it does. Our very special guest is prolific television comedy writer and musician, Michael Chipley. He has written for Family Guy and American Dad and Last Man Standing as producer, and he's a brilliant musician as well, and he's joining us live and direct from Los Angeles, California, and we're very excited to have him here on the show. We're going to talk about his prolific TV career in sitcoms and animation as well. He's going to perform live. So you got some live music coming up with Michael in just 1 second. How is everybody doing? Again, I hope you guys are doing well. We welcome you from wherever you're watching all around the world. Let's check in with our fantastic Lovities. Of course, we invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That really helps the show. We've got a lot of people that have been subscribing and sharing, and we really, truly, truly, sincerely appreciate that. That means a great deal. It helps us continue to deliver this content daily, these entertaining broadcasts, this entertainment lifestyle talk show series, as we call it. The YouTube channel is Jim Masters TV. This show is there live right now and also will be archived, so you can see it 24/7, 365 on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you don't miss any of our live episodes, plus our pop-up shows and everything else that we do on our channel. Share the Lovity, of course. Tell everybody about the show. And we say hello to all the Lovities around the world, like Maureen. Hello, Jim and Lovity family. Can't think of a better way to kick off this 3-day weekend than with an evening of incredible conversation with special guest Michael Chipley. Bring it on. Absolutely. Maureen is ready and raring to go. And she is in Arizona, USA. Sherry Larson's here. Good evening, Sherry. Good to have you with us. Thanks for joining us on the show tonight. We love it. Again, for those of you watching on YouTube, we are live right now. We do our shows live, and there's a lot of energy when it's live. Hi, Jim and everyone. Welcome. Thank you very much, Crystal in Connecticut. We love when you're here. Hope you have a fantastic day. Looking forward to an exciting show, an inspiring conversation, and Lovity. And Merlin is here. Good evening, Jim and all Lovities. Good to see you in Canada, Merlin. Kathy Short is here from Cleveland, Ohio. Happy Friday. Jim and Lovities, enjoy the weekend. Absolutely. Memorial Day weekend, a very moving and touching and memorable time, of course, as we remember those who have fought and served to keep us free. And absolutely. Hello, Jim and Lovities. Mary Bishop in Florida. Good to see you. We love it. Everybody that's here, Crystal as well. Again, she wants to make sure that we see her, and we do, and we love Crystal. Ann in Southern California is here. Hello, everyone. Happy to be here with all you beautiful Lovities. Good to have you here as well, and we welcome you. Claudia Bartow is here. Hi, everyone. I wasn't able to be here a few days ago. Thank you for all the birthday wishes, and hope everyone has been well. Happy birthday again, Claudia. It was wonderful to know that it's your birthday, and I hope you are doing well. Yes. And hello to you as well. And Merlin welcomes Michael to Levity Hall. We're going to dive right in because we have so much to talk about. We've got a lot of great content and so much more. Michael, again, known for incredible work in the television industry, which I love since I work in TV myself, which we talk about from time to time here on the show. And this show that I do here, our JMS Live, is an extension of that. You know, the show's, of course, American Dad. And how about this one? There's Tim Allen, Last Man Standing. These are just some of the many shows that he has either been involved in as producer and or writer. And of course, Seth MacFarlane's very famous show as well. And This is Family Guy. And of course, Seth MacFarlane, American Dad. And you know these shows very well, I'm sure, and countless more. He's really amazing. And we are so excited to have him here live and direct from Los Angeles, California. Michael, good to have you with us. Welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I'm doing great.
You're all set up, ready to go. You got a beautiful guitar there. How's your week been going? And are you excited that it's Memorial Day weekend, 3-day weekend coming up?
Oh, man. Other than a few emotional emails about Memorial Day weekend with one friend, I'm barely conscious that it's a 3-day weekend. It's been a great week, but it's just been bananas. You know, this is a time when TV writers tend to be trying to get jobs, and I've got 3 different pitches I'm hustling and calling my agents about, and it's just been chaos, but it's great.
Yeah. So how does that work? Are you always pitching to get connected with lots of different shows? When one show wraps, then you get out there for another show as quickly as possible?
Well, it really depends on the rhythm of what happens in your career. I mean, I have had the kind of golden handcuffs of being hired so much. I've been doing this for about, I guess it's almost 25 years now, 24 years. And I've been really, really fortunate to work almost constantly. And the problem is when you're working almost constantly, it's very hard to try to sell your own stuff. Yeah. Because you're busy and your primary commitment is to whatever show you're on. You want to do a good job for the people that you're working for and working with. And then also in the first year, sometimes more of a show, generally speaking, writers' contracts keep you from developing because they want to make sure that you're committed to the show. So the way shows get canceled these days, you end up doing a lot. I mean, I've been, again, lucky to do a lot of first seasons of shows, which means there have been a lot of years where I haven't been allowed to develop. And so the only that's not quite true, but one of the good things about the lockdown, other than I get to spend lots of time with my kids, is that I've finally been able to focus on development, which is what they call it when you're trying to create your own material. Right. So I have one project. Well, I've got 2 scripts that are just mine. And then I have 3 projects where I've partnered with different production companies and we're putting together pitches rather than scripts and taking them out and trying to sell them.
That is very, very cool. How did you get started and were you the writer before the musician or the musician and then the writer? What came first for you? Chicken or the egg sort of question there.
Well, I guess they both kind of evolved in tandem. It sort of depends on how I've been a musician since I was 13 in that's when I started taking guitar lessons. Where the moment is where you say, oh, I'm sort of serious about this, or this is part of my identity. I don't know. I think I was probably 13. And then likewise, even in high school, I was writing sketch comedy. I was writing strange shows to be performed at the high school. So I wasn't making any money. I'd never thought of it as a career, but I was already doing a version of this even when I was a teenager. And then, after college, I moved down to LA with the initial impulse to be an actor because I had done more of that at that point. I'd done a lot of local theater and I'd grown up. My father was a professor at Berkeley and then UC Santa Cruz, and he was a linguistics professor, but he used to direct plays. So he was always putting me and my sister in these plays that he was directing. So I had a sort of an identity as an actor. And after college, I moved down here thinking, I'll give that a try. And I almost immediately got into a pretty bad car accident, and I was laid up for about 3 months. And I think it's always so hard to tell, when you tell stories about your life, it's like, did this really cause this, or did this just sort of happen next to this?
Yeah.
But I think what really happened was that slowed me down enough to look at my friends who were trying to be actors, and I just thought, that's bananas. I shouldn't do that.
Tough gig.
There's got to be. So I tried to be practical. I had a little bit of construction background. I worked construction, and I taught English, and I tutored the SAT math and verbal stuff where I got to drive. Cool. Yeah, it was actually a wonderful way to get to know LA, because the company I worked for, it was in-home tutoring. So I would drive all around LA, not all around, I would drive to the rich parts of LA and get into these
northern fringe.
Oh my God. Yeah, some of the houses I ended up in.
Calabasas.
Ridiculous. Almost all Beverly Hills, a little bit of San Bel Air, Brentwood, houses where I remember
everything that starts with a B.
That's right. Yeah, you'd think it would all start with an A. I remember one house that I was tutoring this kid in was so big, I was like, I can't believe he's just alone in this giant house. And after we'd been there for like an hour, I hear somebody talking in the distance. And I look down, and the hallway goes on like as far as you could see. And he's like, oh yeah, my parents are down there. And I'm like, do you have scooters to get around this house? It was crazy. And occasionally somebody who was not rich. But I got to know LA a little bit and got to see some of the insane rich people who live here.
So the writing came early as well then, and were you always turned on by comedy? Was comedy something that you always enjoyed? And who were some of the folks that you enjoyed as you were rising in the ranks, either comedians, writers, comedy writers?
I mean, yeah, comedy has always been super important to me ever since I was a little kid. Like most people who end up doing some version of comedy professionally, it was an escape device for me. I had a great but strange family, and sometimes, thank you, Claudia. Thank you, Kathy.
Merlin likes your background.
Oh,
we were talking about that before we went live on the air, right?
This is my my enchanted forest background. It's not virtual. I'm a very analog person. I bought a cheap tapestry from Amazon and hung it back there because I already had a black backdrop and I had some lights behind it. And so now it looks like I intentionally put this magical fairy thing together. It was just, I talk about this with scripts all the time. The illusion of craftsmanship.
Yes.
Something works out and you go, oh yeah, that was exactly what I had in mind.
Right. Exactly. Theater of the mind, but visually.
Yes. Yeah. I'll take credit if it falls in my lap. Yeah, no, I don't remember what I was talking about.
Comedy. You were talking about some of the folks that
it was always important to me
you
when I was a kid, because it was, it's just an incredible way you get some attention, but also it's just an incredible way to diffuse tension.
Yes, it is. Oh, it's an icebreaker. Right? I use it all the time.
Yeah, it's just
and it, when it works best. When people get it. Doesn't work so well when the person has a blank stare and you're trying to say something witty or funny, or trying to lighten the situation, or a turn of a phrase or double entendre, like Match Game. Remember Match Game?
Sure.
Oh my God, that was the king of double entendre. But you observe something, you see something in front of you that's happening, and you find some witty line to sort of sum it up, and the person's like, "That was supposed to be funny." Actually, yeah, the rest of the room is laughing.
Well, you can't get everybody all the time. It's hopeless. You hear about
you've tried, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, you hear about stand-ups in particular. I've heard them talk about how they'll fixate on the one person who's not laughing, even in a room.
Yes, or a heckler. We were watching some of those videos late last night, how some of the comedians are dealing with hecklers, and it's tough stuff. Tough stuff.
Yeah. Well, also what I've found is that it has a huge amount to do with expectation. Like people think you are going to make jokes. They're much more open to the idea of jokes. But I know, LA has a kind of performative culture to a certain degree. And also just the people I happen to hang around, you can say all kinds of absurd, ridiculous, bizarre things, and they will frame it in their head as a joke.
New York's like that too in many ways. Yeah.
But I have visited other cities, and maybe it's partly because they don't know what I do for a living or something, where, I will say some insane thing, and people will just look at me like, does he have a mental illness?
I don't understand.
Because they don't have, they're just not somebody who expects other people to make jokes.
To make them laugh. And,
or even give a rough shot at making them laugh. Oh, you can see, this is how all my Zooms look these days. I'm always soaking wet because I always do this like, I got to take a shower before I get on camera. Anyway, okay, growing up.
He's a clean comedy writer.
I am hilariously clean, I will say. Other comedy writers make fun of me for that.
Are you zestfully clean?
I remember that commercial. It's just there's certain kinds of stuff I tend to write conceptual and good-hearted jokes for the most part. I don't know why.
So how did you? So you were saying there were some those that were performing or what have you, or writing that were inspiring to you coming up, comedy writers or the comedians themselves.
Yeah, my biggest influence as a kid was Monty Python. Which is it's really interesting because it's an unusual taproot for American comedy writers. I have known a couple. Yeah. There was another writer on Family Guy who is still there. Yeah. Who is loves Monty Python and would pitch like Monty Python-esque jokes. And occasionally you'll come across somebody like that. I think that developed my love of absurdity and strange conceptual jokes and wordplay. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of other people that I think are fantastic. I mean, Dave Chappelle is, there's some incredible stand-ups these days. But yeah, growing up, it was an enormous amount of Monty Python. One of the best compliments I ever got, actually, there's an executive producer I helped out on. Often as a TV writer, you end up donating your time to other people's scripts. And sometimes when people are shooting pilots for shows, it's just part of the culture. It's super fun. And it's also part of the culture. You don't get paid for it, you don't get credit, but you get to go in and help out. And I was helping this guy. We were shooting a pilot at Sony. And I walked into the room the second day of the pilot, and he said, "There's Michael Shipley, the man you call when you want comedy you can't buy at the corner store." I was like, what a lovely compliment that was.
That absolutely is. Now, you've traveled the world, right? I think as a child, the family lived in Yugoslavia for a year, and then you traveled extensively in Africa, South America, the Caribbean, South Seas, Europe, and much more, huh?
Yeah, my standard line is I've traveled a lot for an American. Yeah. Because, when you travel around, you meet like Australians who are going on a 2-year walkabout. So many other cultures just have travel, especially for young people, kind of baked into their cultural identity. And we just don't do it as much here. But we did, when I was 4 years old, my father was a tenured professor at UC, and he had the deal that professors get, or at least they got in those days, was that if you worked full time for 7 years, you could take a leave of absence. You could take a sabbatical for a whole year, and your job would just be waiting there for you. So he was eligible for a year sabbatical, and he heard about a teaching position in Novi Sad in Eastern Europe, in Yugoslavia. And with his adventurer's spirit, he said that would be interesting. So my mom took a leave of absence from her job as a doctor, and we moved to Yugoslavia for a year. And wow, yeah, it was extraordinary. And I think it was super healthy for me psychologically and my sister, because I do think that it gives you a certain, not just visiting in another culture, but living in a different culture. And boy, Eastern Europe in those days in particular was weird. Yeah. And living somewhere that alien is good for your brain because it helps you understand how subjective so much of what we live with every day really is. American culture, like any culture, just makes a lot of decisions about this is how we do this. This is more important than that. But if you've lived in some other strange place, there's always a little part of your brain going, yeah, it could be a different way.
Could be a different way, right?
And I think that helps with, staying happy, but also creativity.
I always say that anytime I've gone out of the country, I have a real appreciation for other cultures and the way that they do things and their perspective. And it also gives me a reappreciation when I come back for here. So I think anybody that complains about here should go elsewhere and, check it out and see and enjoy, where they go, but then realize how good we really have it in many ways here, and some of just the easiness as far as conveniences and some of those luxuries. Press this button and you can go here, and 15 different supermarkets you can go to, and that's not the way it is elsewhere around the world. And sometimes everybody gets hung up on those little tiny things, and you need comedy to get through it. How did living elsewhere did it influence your comedy at all?
Well, I think in the way that I was just describing, just giving me a sense of how subjective so many things are, because a certain amount of finding a comic take on something has to do with being able to step outside of the frame that we all live in unconsciously and think like, well, what the hell are we doing here? What's a weird aspect of this that wouldn't occur to you until you pull yourself back and look at it? And so I think living outside the country got a version of that wired into me as a very small child.
Yeah.
I think it's also true. I don't know how much it helps with the comedy, but I think what you're saying is true too. It really, all the different times I've traveled places and then come back here, it has underscored how many things we have going in American culture that we can be really thankful for. And that's not to trivialize. We have serious problems and stuff to work on, but there's a lot that is easy to take for granted until you go spend some time in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you look on you go to a grocery store and go see what's on the shelf that day, maybe.
Yeah.
My sister, my sort of adopted, I have a complicated family, but my sort of adopted sister and her husband and son were living in Africa for about 3 years, and because my brother-in-law was he works for the New York Times, and when she came back for a visit, my sister did, and she walked into a grocery store and she almost had a panic attack and had to walk out because she was so used to being in Africa, and then what we have here was so overwhelming
seeing everything, all the choice.
And just and if it's the only version, if it's the only thing you've ever experienced, you don't appreciate it. And it is easier to get grumpy and bitter. And one thing I really believe in is keeping a positive attitude and staying grateful. And this also makes me a weird comedy writer. I had a comedy where I was doing a show at Fox years ago, and this was a great guy I was working with who was, he was a little bit of a jerk but I loved him. And he stopped me on the stage one time, and I'm tooting my horn again because it was another nice compliment, but he was like,
horn tooting.
Okay, Chipley. And people call me Shipley or Ship on shows usually. And he's like, so what's your deal? And I'm like, what we've been working together for 2 months.
And all of a sudden,
like,
what's your deal?
What do you mean my deal? And he was like, you're funny, but you're not an asshole.
So I guess that's a compliment.
And he was like, comedy writers are assholes.
What's he deducing with that?
Yes, it was. And I was like, all right, I try to be positive.
Yeah.
He also got into a different marriage and became much less difficult. So I think maybe he just needed to be a little happier.
Straightened out, now walking a straight line.
I've worked on some indigenous documentaries with this really amazing documentarian who is named James Kleinert, who's done some really amazing work with the Lakota people.
You've worked on several, actually, right? You developed projects with Keanu Reeves, Eva Longoria, Tony Shalhoub, Tobey Maguire, Vince Vaughn. I mean,
the things that I did with the documentaries I worked on were all indigenous or about wild horses, and they were with this indigenous documentarian. But yes, the things, and who's amazing and I'm proud of, and the projects that you're mentioning, these are all different pilot projects that I worked with these different incredible, interesting actors. Yeah, Keanu Reeves, Tony Shalhoub. As you say, all sorts of interesting. Tobey Maguire was fascinating. I got to go over to his house a bunch of times.
And it's Vince Vaughn's production company, right?
Yeah, and Vince Vaughn's production company. I didn't spend much time with Vince Vaughn. I think we had one conversation the whole time, but I was working with a couple of executives there to develop a project that we took out. And it's super hard to, even if you are very credible in this industry, it's very, very hard to sell a pilot, to get something on the air. And I've, sold a couple of things over the years, but the Vince Vaughn thing, just none of those projects ended up going anywhere, but they were fascinating experiences.
You did, in touching upon some of the other incredible things you've had an opportunity in your career to touch upon. You wrote the play Think Twice Before You Go, which was produced at the Powerhouse Theater in Santa Monica, executive producer as well of The Holy Fail, which is an Irish independent film available on Amazon Prime, and nominated for an Emmy and an NAACP award as well on that, huh?
Yeah. I was not, those awards were not for that.
That's Last Man Standing. They got that too.
The NAACP nomination was for an episode of Last Man Standing that I wrote,
congratulations.
Oh, thank you. It was a real honor to get to write that episode. As with virtually every TV show, it always feels a little, I used to make jokes when I was on Last Man Standing in particular, and then I remember Tim Allen making fun of me one time that it shouldn't say written by on a script that you wrote. It should say shepherded by.
Shepherded by. I like that.
Because, usually you come up with the story as a group, or the the showrunner will say, I want to do a story about religion or whatever. You work out the story, you go through all these different drafts. Now, you may write every outline, and you certainly usually, not in the Chuck Lorre world, but in most worlds, you end up going and writing the first draft. But I wish I could say I came up with that whole episode whole cloth, but it was a group effort. I did get to write it. The script came out well. We also found an incredible actor, Jonathan Adams, to play the primary guest star in it. And he became a recurring character on Last Man Standing, and he's been in dozens of episodes now. But that was the episode that I got nominated for the NAACP award for. And I was very proud of that episode and proud of that nomination. Plus, I have to say, it was a fancy, I don't get to go to that many fancy parties. It was a huge fancy event with red carpet and all that. And I had just met this woman that I really liked. And it was like our third date. And I was like, do you want to come to the NAACP awards with me? And it made a very good impression because now we're married and we have 2 kids.
See? That is funny. Amazing. Really amazing when you think about the life's journey, right? And the places that it takes you, Yugoslavia and Africa, and then
these different, I
life learning.
I could go on for hours about the crazy stories that have occurred. Here, I'll tell one great thing happened. A lot of great things happened when I was working with Keanu Reeves on this project with his production company. But the funniest thing that happened was I was over at his house. I was going over to his house I was primarily working with the head of his production company at the time. And we were going to go over to his house and discuss where we were with this project with him. And so I go up into the Hollywood Hills, and weirdly, he lived like 2 doors down from where Tobey Maguire had lived when I was working with Tobey Maguire. But I get to his house, and it's this sort of featureless wall, as one might expect. And I buzz the thing. I say, "Hey, it's Michael. I'm here." And Keanu says, "Oh, great. I'll be out in a second." And so I'm standing there for a minute in front of his house, and one of those tour buses.
Oh yeah.
The See the Stars Home tour buses pulls up in the street, and this incredibly weary, over it tour guide, just the thing stops and he says into this microphone, "There's Keanu Reeves' house." And he points at me and goes, "Here's Keanu Reeves. Looks really different in the movies, doesn't he?" And I turn around and wave, and you could see these tourists like raising their cameras and looking, and like a couple of them took a picture, like that's it. And they were bewildered, and I could see the tour guide sort of giggling. And then the instant they drove off, the door opened and Keanu Reeves came out. And he was a great guy. He was such a good guy.
Did he know that bus was there and stayed inside, or no?
No, I think it was just timing. It was just long enough. Yeah.
So what was the very first opportunity for you in Hollywood, in television, in LA?
Oh man,
writing wise, early on for you, one of those ones where, wow, that opportunity really led to this, that, and the other thing.
Well, I will say, that you work in this industry, and you end up, certainly if you work for 20 years, like I've been blessed to do, you end up working with a lot of people who have really hit the lottery in different ways,
yes,
giant mansions and gotten shows on the air. And so just to survive psychologically, you have to reorganize your own experience into something you feel really good about. So here's what I've done. I do feel really proud of my career in certain ways, partly because I haven't had the rocket blast of getting onto a giant hit show early in my career that really took off. I was on Family Guy early in my career, but it got canceled. And by the time it got picked up, I was on to something else. So one thing that I feel good about is that, unlike many, many writers that I've worked with, and nothing against them, when I started, I didn't know anybody and I didn't know anything. I was doing sketch comedy. I was doing these shows called Fun with Weasels. And I was writing and directing and acting in these things. And what I always say is I ended up partnering up. There were a couple of guys that I wrote with sometimes, and I ended up partnering up with the guy who was arguably less funny, but much more reliable than the other guy.
Isn't it funny how that works?
And I was like, I think reliable is going to be an asset.
Reliable.
And he was funny, definitely. And we spent 5 years trying to get into the business. We wrote spec script after spec script. These are writing samples that you generate. In those days, they were invariably versions of an episode for a show that was already on the air. So we made up episodes for Seinfeld and Murphy Brown and The Simpsons, and we just kept writing these things, calling everybody we could think of, hammering on doors. We heard that there was a thing at Warner Brothers called the Warner Brothers Comedy Writers Program. And we also found out that one of the executives who was a judge for who should get into this program had a side business where he would give you notes on your script for $50, which was, a little bit of money for us. But we were like, yeah, absolutely. So we send our script to the guy, we get notes, we address all his notes, and we submit it to the program. And he let us in. So we got into this program at Warner Brothers where you got to go once a week and hear a lecture, essentially, by a different industry professional who was in comedy writing. And you got to be on a lot and surrounded by people who were trying to do this. And it was ostensibly a program for people who did not have connections in the industry, trying to find people who should be working just because of their talent. the first day we were there, we found out everybody else in the program already had some kind of job, I think, in the industry. I think it was everybody else. They picked about 15 people out of, I think, 850 submissions or something. But on the credibility of that, we got a couple of minor agents, and they submitted us. We got one. We ended up firing her, getting a slightly better one. He submitted us for a bunch of stuff. We got jobs as assistants on shows, on this show that was on I think it was a UPN show at this point, which was a miserable experience for me. My writing partner was an amazing typist, and he was really good at computers, and I'm neither. And so he was a great assistant, and I was pretty terrible. And so that went on. And this, by this time it was, God, how old was I? I don't know, but I was getting to be 30 or so, I guess. And I just thought, I don't want to be trying to break into this industry when I'm 35.
Did you have a dream? Was there a show or a style that you wanted? Like when they had Carson and all those, shows, people would want to be, like Dick Cavett was a writer for Johnny Carson. I mean, all these people would be writers and start out with all of those shows, The Tonight Show and Kimmel and all the rest, Jay Leno, everybody, Letterman. For you, were there dream shows that you said, oh, I would love to be a part of that group?
Yes, there were. Now, those kind of shows that you're listing, working on those shows you're mainly a joke writer. And maybe a sketch writer. And those things were mildly interesting to me, but I really wanted to tell stories on TV.
Right.
And so I remember Third Rock from the Sun coming on.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my God, this show is crazy and so awesome. Now in that stack of pictures that I sent you, I have pictures with 3 different cast members from that show, I think. But that was, that anything that was edgy, that was outrageous. I've always been a huge fan of comedy that is not just a smile. A lot of people are always asking me to read scripts, which when I can, I'm happy to do. And one of my common complaints is it's not really funny. It's mildly amusing. It's like these characters are sort of doing unusual things and they're likable, and that's a little wacky. But I remember Seth MacFarlane, who was just a kid. I mean, he was in his 20s when Family Guy started, but his instincts about comedy are so powerful.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the things he used to say when we'd be working on a joke and somebody would pitch something, he would say, point at the exact word where somebody is going to laugh. Like, I don't want a generally funny line. I want a line that explodes on some word. And I always felt that way. So the shows that excited me were like that. But what ended up happening, I mean, when you ask about like the key moment, there's so many ways that all these things can go wrong.
Yeah.
But after doing what I was describing for like 5 years and being an assistant and just going, I hate this. I was starting to make plans to leave LA because I didn't want to be one of these. I already knew some sort of melancholy older people who were trying to break into the business at an age that I just would have felt bummed about. So I was thinking about moving back to Northern California. I had, teaching and construction backgrounds, and I was like, I can teach, I can buy houses and flip them, and
no thought to the East Coast, New York, or any of that?
Not at that point.
Yeah.
No, it was sort of like, let me go somewhere familiar and it's a little more gentle and friendly. Oh, my screen.
Did you pay the light bill this month, or?
It's my screen. What I use as my fill light is just a mainly blank page. It's actually a page of jokes that I've written down.
And it's like a screensaver thing.
And when the screensaver kicks in, it just goes dark. So that the agent that we had, my writing partner at the time and I had submitted us for a show that was on UPN, and they had hired, usually shows.
The show?
It was Homeboys in Outer Space.
I remember seeing that. Yes.
It was on for one full season, 22
UPN.
episodes. Yeah.
I remember when UPN came out, there was like this big UPN and then WB network.
Mm-hmm.
There were like these new exciting sort of.
Yeah, it was a bit, and they struggled to make it work long term, but it was absolutely the right idea. And so most shows hire from the top down. That is, if a show gets picked up, usually whoever created it, it's going to be an executive producer, probably the showrunner who's the head executive producer. And then they hire other executive producers, co-executive producers, supervising producers, co-producers, story editors, executive story editors. And then at the very bottom, if they have some money left, they go, all right, we'll hire a staff writer.
Yeah.
So they had hired the entire staff except for the staff writer position. And the showrunner had already decided who to give that job to. And his assistant, Robin Barnes, thank you, Robin, I'm still grateful, walked into his office and said, have you hired that guy yet? Because if you haven't, you should read this script. Mm. And he read our spec and he wanted to meet us. And like as I say, I literally was making plans to move. And we showed up for the meeting, our first ever actual job interview for something we cared about. And something very weird happened that we didn't know was weird, which was that he wasn't there. And his assistant said, oh, just wait for him in his office, which never happens. You never go sit in some showrunner's office waiting to be interviewed. No. You wait outside and maybe they bring you water. And so we go and we sit in, his name is Eric Van Loo. I'm also extremely grateful to you, Eric. And we sat in Eric's office, and it was a comedy sci-fi show, and he had a couch in in front of a coffee table that had all kinds of science fiction toys and books about Star Trek and Star Wars. And my old writing partner and I were super nerds, and we were just goofing around. And so we started like picking up the books and asking each other obscure Star Trek trivia questions and just fucking around in this guy's office. Can I say that on here? And
wait a minute, you ask after the fact?
Sorry. That's the other thing.
Can I say that?
That's for forgiveness, not permission. And we're just screwing around in his office. And
Mom, turn the volume down. No.
And Eric comes in and interviews us, and it seems like it goes well. And we're like, and he hires us. Unbelievable. Our first network show. And what he tells us when we meet him, when we come in for our first day, is he said, I actually came back to my office and I stood in the hallway and watched you screwing around in my office.
Yeah.
And he said, that's when I decided to hire you.
He
said, I felt like I should come in and talk to you just for pro forma, but that it was watching what you guys were doing in that office. Wow. And so it was a huge turning point and a good lesson too. TV writing is difficult and stressful, even though the end product doesn't always show an enormous amount of effort. And when people like you well enough to actually interview you, they've already read your material. Yeah. They already are interested in you. They want to like you. They want you to be somebody they can look at 3:30 in the morning, 7 months from now, and not want to jump across the table and strangle you. So, ability is important, but equally important is positivity, attitude. One thing I say to young people who are trying to get into the business is whenever you get your first job, whatever the job description is, your actual job is making your boss's life easier.
It's really what it is.
Just figure out what's hard about their job. Don't get distracted by the power and money they may be experiencing. Think about what's hard for them and address that. And they'll love you and they'll keep hiring you. So anyway, that's my turning point story.
That's amazing. How did Family Guy for you come about? I mean, obviously so well known and beloved in so many different ways. How did that develop, that opportunity?
Well, of course, it was not kind of peek around.
Sure, yeah. We like to move around. It's like musical chairs. It's like we're there and then we're not, and then we are, and then we're not.
So what happened was,
in case you're just tuning in, folks.
yes, I wrote on this show a long time ago. This show, everything is reversed. It's hard to do. It all goes back to that first job, to Homeboys in Outer Space, because after Homeboys, my writing partner and I were working on we got a job on a show that was shooting up in Canada, and we were up there, and it was sort of like, oh, it's not a big network show. And we were up there when Family Guy premiered, excuse me. And we all watched it, all of us who were writing on that show. And we were all like, oh my God, this thing is brilliant. Like, this is going to be the biggest thing ever. It was a total game changer at the time. I know people.
Were you nervous?
It's long in the tooth. But
were you nervous at all?
About what?
Hopping on Family Guy because it was so big and established?
No, I haven't gotten there yet.
You're still working on that.
I was working on a show up in Canada, and Family Guy premiered, and we all watched it, and we just went, like, nothing against the show we were on, but we all felt like, holy crap.
What was the show in Canada?
It was called Big Wolf on Campus.
For our Canadian viewers.
It was a delightful show. It's still available somewhere. It was a sort of comedy monster of the week with teenagers.
So you were on that, and then Family Guy popped on.
We were on that. Family Guy premiered. We watch it, and there was this feeling of like, we're up here in the snow working on this more anonymous thing, like that. Like, television is changing in front of us. We're like, oh my God, that Family Guy thing is unbelievable.
Yeah, our friend Owen's watching. Great seeing you guys together, Owen.
I remember that, man.
Yes, Owen. Welcome, my friend.
Hey, man. So, you know, about a week later, we get a call from our agent saying the executive producer, the showrunner of Family Guy, wants to meet you guys. And we were floored. But it turned out there were these two guys who we had worked with on Homeboys in Outer Space, Mike Barker and Matt Weitzman. And they were on Family Guy. They'd been on the pilot, and now they were working on the next 6 episodes. The first season was just an order of 6. And the showrunner at that point, David Zuckerman, really trusted these guys. He'd worked with them before. And he apparently they knew they needed more writers, and he apparently kept suggesting people to Mike and Matt, and they kept going, no, they're no good. And our names came up, and they were like, oh, no, we like those guys. And so David Zuckerman was like, oh, well, if finally I found somebody that Mike and Matt actually like. We met him at a coffee shop. We flew back down to LA, met him at a coffee shop in Ventura in the Valley, had what seemed like a nice meeting, and we got hired onto the show. And we were back in Canada by that time. And literally it was like something out of Bull Durham, because like the people were working, even the show creator was like, you're going to the show, man.
Unbelievable.
You're going.
Yeah. And so did you phone home and tell people, hey, I'm going to be a part of this?
It's back there. Yeah. You know, so many of the people that I have grown up with are not big TV people. And like, my dad cared what I was doing, but it was hard to convey the level of excitement and significance of some of these transitions, which is also great. I've had I sent you my crazy bio that has all this bizarre stuff about me, but it is true that I've had the same best friend since I was 5 years old.
Yes.
And like, he never watches TV. He just doesn't watch TV. So he's always kind of like, oh, that's great. You're doing a thing. And
I have a few friends like that. Yeah, that you tell them about some things that are exciting that you're doing within the industry, or I've interviewed a few people, and they're like, "I don't own a television." Like, okay, I
don't think he does.
I think that's a wrap.
But the great thing
about talk about food instead.
Well, the great thing about that for me is that I know he just loves me for me. He doesn't give a shit.
Perspective. Yeah.
Well, he's just like, I just care about you as a person because we've known each other. Like, I don't care.
You could be a firefighter, you could be anything, and he'll still. He's a friend. He's a friend. You
know, even at my level of just the fact that I've been in, you know, a working writer and an executive producer on shows, and I like, again, super grateful, super, you know, that's flashy enough that in the economy of LA, people are like, oh, you're a working writer. Oh, you've worked on these shows. And it's nice to have people in your life who are like, I don't even know what that is. You okay? Whatever. So let's go get a bite.
What's American Dad?
Yeah, or my name is Earl, or Mom, or whatever.
How did this happen for you? And it was that character based on Ralph Cramden from The Honeymooners. I've always heard there was a sort of a loose connection to Jackie Gleason and Ralph Cramden with the lead character.
I will not. I will abstain from trying to comment on that. I was not around during the creation of either Family Guy or American Dad. I was there early on, but American Dad, I guess we got hired onto the 4th season of that. And that was, boy, I could change my shirt and nobody would know, right?
That's right.
That was because those same fellows, Mike Barker and Matt Weitzman, co-created American Dad with Seth MacFarlane. And my writing partner and I were available. We were in the process of breaking up, ending our partnership. It was a little bit of a weird, messy time, but the details will be in my memoirs, but we essentially decided to take one more job together. And we took that job on American Dad and worked there for a couple of years. And it was in many ways a really great, fun, weird experience because we'd been away from the Seth MacFarlane world for several years by that time.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, most notably recently, Tim Allen and the gang from Last Man Standing. Tell us about that and your involvement with that for the audience's knowledge building.
Sure. I was hired on The Last Man Standing at the beginning of the 2nd season. There again, it's probably not a story for me to tell, but the 1st season was fraught with difficulties and even tragedies. Some bad stuff happened. There was a lot of chaos. Kevin Abbott was the fellow who was the initial showrunner who created the show. He had some stuff he had to deal with. And so he had to leave the show. A couple of writers were field promoted. They apparently they were not happy doing that. It wasn't going well. This is all during the 1st season. Kevin Abbott was brought in to kind of save the show in the back, I think 3rd or so. He made one little staffing change, but I think he brought Vince Calandra on with him. But he righted the ship and kept the whole thing from going down the tubes. But then he sold another show with Reba McEntire, Malibu Country. So he left to go do that show, and they needed yet another showrunner. They needed a 5th showrunner. And so they went out to Tim Doyle, who is fantastic and a great showrunner. And literally I was at an interview. Where the hell was I? I think I was at ABC. I was fishing for a job. I didn't have a job. And I ran into a writer I knew who said, "Oh, did you hear Tim Doyle took over? He's taken over Family Guy. You should call him." I went, "Oh, okay." And I called Tim, and he called me in for an interview, and he said, "I'm firing the entire staff except for 2 guys. I'm cleaning house." And I believe I was the first person he hired. And then he filled out the staff he'd been working for a long time, and he filled out that staff with amazing, seasoned, interesting writers.
Which really enhanced the show, changed the flavor, everything.
Yeah, we were able to write the show that Tim Doyle wanted, and that at that point Tim Allen wanted.
Yeah.
The story. I hope Tim Doyle doesn't mind my saying this, but apparently, when they first met, when he was going to take over the show, they got into I think, relatively good-natured political debate because Tim Doyle is a giant liberal and Tim Allen is pretty conservative. And they're arguing about stuff, and Tim Allen stops and goes, "This is what the show should be. This is what I want the show to be." And Tim Doyle, who is a wonderful debater and an impassioned believer in different ideas, was all for that. And he framed it as this show. He said the first season of the show feels like a kind of weak tea 80s sitcom. And instead of moving it into the modern age, I'm going to move it back to the 70s. We're going to make it like All in the Family, where people talk about actual issues and they debate them and people have different ideas and there's conflict. And at the end of the day, everybody still loves each other. And that was a tall order, but it was a big restructuring of the show. But it gave that show legs and distinction. And it was fun and interesting to write on because you got to write characters and jokes from perspectives that you don't actually agree with, which is always, you got to go like, okay, let me make the best argument for this thing that I don't think is a good idea. And it's mind opening.
Absolutely. We have some really cool photos that you did send along of some of your travels. And maybe you can guide us along here.
I know there were so many.
And for those of you waiting for music, because I know you love music, gang, he is going to be performing live. We're not just teasing you.
I'm going to sing it. It may just be one song, but
I love this television stuff.
This is from a music video that I shot about 6 years ago. Oh, that's so nice. Thank you, Christine Clifton.
Yes. And Owen says, hey, my brothers.
Hey. So Owen is actually in this music video briefly at one point. One thing I decided as I got older was that I missed doing creative projects with friends.
Yeah.
Like before I was making money, but when I was in my 20s, we would go like, let's put on a show. Let's do this crazy thing. Let's, we would have salon nights and all this. And I really missed that. And so the last, 7 or 8 years in particular, I have started reaching out to friends to make music videos because I'm like, nobody gets paid. We just I find a director friend and somebody who knows how to operate a camera. And it's like we're kids out of college going, let's put on a show. So that photograph you were showing was from a crazy video that my friend Dean Lim, who's a great director who has now started directing television, he directed. It is in typical fashion when nobody's getting paid. It's still not done. We shot it 6 years ago. It's still, the final editing should be done in the next couple of months and it'll be released. But the fellow with the hat and the glasses in that photograph is an old friend of mine from college who is a rocket scientist. He works for JPL. And he was a dance physics double major in college. He's just an extraordinary guy and a great performer, but also he helps pilot spacecrafts to Mars.
That's absolutely amazing.
So
and
I put him,
you would think he was with ZZ Top or something, right?
This is this weird sort of ominous character we created. And now I think we've put him in 2 other videos. We like it so much. So that's another music video of mine. This one is up on YouTube. It's for a song called Long Way Down. My friend PJ Vericat directed this. He's another Banana Slug. That is another graduate from UC Santa Cruz. And
very cool.
It's a much more serious one. This is I have an enormous, as I went through these different pictures.
Very hard to select, isn't it?
I was going to say there are so many kind of interesting, weird pictures, but I was like, Chuck Lorre might not like it if I release that. I never asked Seth MacFarlane if I could show anybody that big. There's a lot of stuff that I feel like it's not so
that you would have liked to have shown. But
but usually when I've been interviewed, it's much briefer and people don't have time to look through my photo albums. So what I ended up sending
we take time. Rush.
So what I ended up sending over to you, of course, was like 24 pictures of me standing next to famous people. And like, oh, I go, it makes me look even less famous because I'm next to. So this is, when I was working on Mom with Allison Janney.
You're smiling and he's not.
Yes, I think he was trying to look. He was a very nice guy. I think he was goofing around a little bit.
Yeah.
It was also the end of the day. But Allison Janney, of course, was on West Wing, and she knew Bradley Whitford. There's Allison. I'm looking like a maniac because I I always do in photographs. But he came and guest starred in an episode, and I thought that was so cool. I asked him if I could get a picture with him. So that's me. And this is great. They're all mixed together. There's another music video. Owen is definitely in this one. He plays a director. The concept of this music video is there a bunch of people trying to shoot a music video, and they are slowly being killed by a monster while it's happening. So the video falls apart, and when you finally see the monster, he looks like this. He's made of cardboard boxes. And then everybody's dead at the end, and finally he and I have a great conflagration in the last moment. So that one should be done this year sometime too. It's in.
Are we gonna be able to see that anywhere?
It'll be on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you look up Michael Shipley on YouTube,
it'll be
almost there. The only thing I put on YouTube pretty much are like silly music videos.
Allison with her Oscar?
That was Allison. It was the morning after she won this Oscar, and she brought it to work. And Allison is such a bright, such a talented, such a wonderful person. And she was just lovely and funny about the whole thing.
Tell us about this. Yeah.
Oh, this is, I literally took a picture of this because, we would group write the scripts. In Chuck Lorre's world, you can tell because on the episodes, it always says story by, and then there's 2 or 3 people, and then teleplay by, and there's 2 or 3 people.
And this is Mom, which on CBS. Yeah.
Yes, it was. They just had the series finale just recently.
How did that happen for you? How did that opportunity?
Well, I was on that for 2 years, and I'll just say that the reason I took a picture of this is just, Chuck Lorre's a very hard read, and he read a script that a group of us had written and turned in, and he just was like, "Great script," and put his initials on it. We're like, "Yes!" We were so happy. Yeah. We all took pictures of it. It's like Chuck loved our script.
How did that happen when you got involved with that great series on CBS?
That was really unusual. It was again, one thing I'm always saying to young people too, is that when you get into this industry, everybody will try to convince you it's a foot race, that it's a meritocracy, that like the people who succeed are just the best. But really, it's a casino. And you can play the game smart, but there's an enormous amount of luck involved into how these things play out.
Absolutely right.
So,
right.
That's partly why I'm so grateful instead of smug about so many of the things that I've gotten to do.
That's the best way to be. That's the best way to be. Grateful.
So the Mom experience started Last Man Standing, as people may know. Oh, and that was just a picture. The
other shows.
Direct, these were the shows that were in production at one point. When you walk into the Chuck Lorre building,
you would see.
And I was like, I'll just take a picture of the sign. We were this way, they were that way. But when Last Man Standing got canceled off of, you want me to describe the things that are going by?
Yeah.
tell the story. So this also was a kind of like, hey, I should just take a picture of this. There was a wipe-off board that would say what was going on Mom, which is in blue, and what was happening on The Big Bang Theory on a given day. Because some people worked, certain people would work on both shows. Certainly Chuck needed to know kind of like what's on the agenda for today. So this was back in 2017. I was just like, this is a little snapshot of this moment in television history. On Mom, we were going to have a producer run through at 2 p.m. And then the show was, because it was a Friday, was going to be at 6. Oh, it's gone now. Can you go back to the other one? And then our holiday party was going to be after that. And on The Big Bang Theory, they had to run through at 1 o'clock for the studio and network because they were going to shoot later. And it was the 100th episode week for Mom, which was very special. Yeah, reaching 100 episodes, certainly in the old model, which kind of holds together, that was the number of episodes that you needed in order to go into syndication.
Right.
And so it was a very, especially for people who own any part of the show, which I never have. That's when typically you get a huge payday. I mean, really huge. And it was a big deal. And it's just a big deal for the legacy of the show. And amazingly, I think I've worked on 4 shows that have gone to 100 episodes. It's a rare thing. But yeah, Mom, Last Man Standing, and then the 2 Seth MacFarlane shows.
That's incredible. Here's the whiteboard too.
Yeah, I threw that in there just because I think sometimes people are interested. This is in the writer's room. They're always wipe off boards. And this was in the mom room. These were like story areas that we thought we might do. And it was kind of interesting as I look back. I think we did one of these. We did the second one from the bottom. I'm not sure that we ever did any of the rest of them. But sometimes you'll, in the middle of working on something else, you'll just get here, I'll look through the little window. Hello. You'll get a funny idea for something and like, just put it on the board over there so we have it. And, sometimes you go back to it and oftentimes it just doesn't end up fitting in with how the show goes. This is another atmospheric shot. I took a lot of shots near the end of when I was leaving mom because I was like, oh, this is nice.
No.
This is the hallway that my office was just to the left of where I was standing. And that was the hallway that led down towards the kitchen and the writer's room. This was just some friend. Oh, PJ is the guy on the right. He directed one of the music videos that we saw those stills from. And he and his girlfriend just came to visit. And this is just us sitting on the mom set. Somebody took a picture of us just sitting there. It's always kind of fun. You feel like you're stepping into through the looking glass into the reality of the show when you take a picture on the set that you only see on TV.
What does it feel like I know I've worked with shows too, and shows, that have ended and things of that nature. For you, you get so attached to the characters, you get so attached to the storyline, going to the same place with the same people. What is it like when a show that you're so heavily invested in wraps and comes to an end? Does it feel like a death? Does it feel like it's got to be an unusual feeling in so many different levels? There's this feeling of accomplishment and we did it, we made it. But then also those characters that you wrote for and they're like your babies. They're now, they're silenced, they're done, they're wrapped, they've done their thing. What is that like?
Well,
for you,
that's very astute of you. A lot of the stuff that you just said is exactly on point, and including the fact that it's a very strange kind of loss. It's akin to, because I started off doing theater, it is akin to when a play you're doing wraps, and all these people that you have this intense relationship with just sort of scatter. Like you've become, like there isn't a good word for the particular kind of bond that you develop with these people. And being on a TV show can be very similar, particularly when you're on it for a long time. You get to know each other very intimately. And a lot of the time with your fellow writers, you spend more time with these people than you do with your family. And because of the nature of the work, you also talk extensively about your life, your history, your true feelings. There's a kind of uncensored closeness that develops. And then when the structure of the experience goes away, when the show gets canceled, or in the case of Mom, I worked there for 2 years and then I left of my own volition. And even leaving, even knowing the show was going on and those people were still there, was kind of heartbreaking. And I missed those people. And I remember I was at a meeting at Warner Brothers and I just walked over to the Chuck Lorre building and went and crashed the Mom writer's room just to see those people again. And then, that was a couple of years ago. And I've seen some of those people since then. But then when the series finale came just a couple of weeks ago, I was all choked up.
Sure.
Like I hadn't worked on the show in 2 years or whatever it is. And yeah, you get invested, as you say. These are characters that you have stepped inside, that you've spent so much time with, but that you've really tried to empathize with. And that doesn't just go away. I mean, it's like hearing, I don't know, like an ex-lover has been killed. You just go, well, I know we're not together anymore, but God, I know so much about that person.
The memories.
And now they're just gone. So I don't know how articulate any of that is, but you're absolutely right that it's a leaving shows and shows getting canceled, which is much more common, it's a very weird thing. But it like so many, it's a good kind of pain in that, like, you wouldn't have it if you weren't having a profound experience to begin with. So,
and you have to take it with a grain of salt, and levity is really very important, right? Case in point.
Yes.
Talk about a segue, huh?
This was a moment on Last Man Standing where Tim Allen's character was supposed to be in, I think, South America.
It's just Last Men Standing.
Yeah. And so we had this trained monkey, and I can't remember his name now. He was great. I believe he was the monkey from Pirates of the Caribbean. And the trainer was like, "You want a picture of him on your head?" I was like, yeah,
of course.
Why would I say no to that?
That's fantastic. Speaking of Last Man Standing, this shot here.
Oh yeah, that's kind of I'm back to peeking through the window. That we did an episode called we did an episode called Eve's Band.
Good thing you're not 400 pounds.
That's right. And we did an episode called Eve's Band that I got to write. And that was a wonderful experience, in part because I got to work so closely, at least for a little while, with Caitlin Deaver, who played Eve on the show, who is a genuinely extremely talented musician. But we needed, the storyline involved a lot of craziness, but she ends up going to an open mic, and we needed a band that was super impressive to be playing at the open mic to scare her, and like, oh God, I don't belong here. And then she eventually goes up by herself on a guitar and she kills it, which she did. And so I wrote the song that the band played, and I hired two friends of mine who were incredible musicians to be in the band. And then one fellow, we needed a drummer, and so we just hired a professional drummer. And they and then as we were doing the rehearsal, I had to step in. I think Carrie, the guitar player, wasn't there yet, so we were just screwing around, and I picked up the bass, and the guy who was playing the bass played guitar. It's Tim Akers and Carrie Bear, my friends, and that's Tim Akers on guitar over there, extraordinary musician. We've been friends for a long time. His daughter, we met because his daughter was on a show I did, playing a little girl. She was 8 at that point or something like that, 8 or maybe 10.
Wow.
I did a show called Better Off Ted that I was super proud of. It would only survive for a couple of seasons. It was a Victor Fresco show, like Andy Richter Controls the Universe, which I was also on. I was extremely proud of too. But that's how I met Tim Akers. I was already a fan of his. I'd seen him perform, and then I met him through his daughter. I was like, "Can I be your friend?"
Can I be?
And we're still friends. We were just texting the other day.
Speaking of fabulous people along the way, you mentioned Reba McEntire earlier.
Oh, yes. Reba she came and guest starred on Last Man Standing as well. There's a demographic overlap. And she could not have been more gracious. And even just the stories, some of the writers had worked with her, and just the stories that they told about, she's just a truly wonderful person.
Yeah.
And of course, she's an absolute legend in the music industry. And so I had to do my thing and go, "Can I stand next to you while somebody takes a picture?"
Well, here's another legend in comedy and in television, Betty White.
Oh, yes. That was fantastic. When I was doing My Name is Earl, my friend Matt Ward and I got to we met on that show. Actually, we were sharing an office, and then we got to write one episode together, and we wrote an episode that starred Betty White as a guest star, and we got to work with her, and she was hilarious and delightful and all those things that you would hope she would be. She was absolutely all of them.
Yes.
So, sort of sly and mischievous, and so again, I wanted to stand next to her for a second and get a picture taken.
The two that I've had the opportunity to chat with that match what you just said about Betty, I haven't had a chance to meet Betty or Dick Van Dyke. I've always wanted to chat with as well, but are Carol Burnett and Florence Henderson. Absolutely exactly what you would hope. No airs about them. Warm, funny, affable, approachable, and the real deal, both.
That's great. Yeah, I met Florence Henderson once, and
wonderful.
She was great.
Yeah.
It's so, most people, most celebrities that I've met have not disappointed. It's The Betty White thing was great too, because she got nominated for an Emmy for that performance. And I feel like she should have won. She was incredible.
It's a certain old school way of that they have that's just really kind of refreshing. Billy Dee Williams, another one.
Yes.
Class
I was doing a great show that a show that didn't last very long, but that I loved, called Man Up. And
you remember
that show?
Yeah.
And the guys on the show were all kind of, Star Wars nerds, and one of them in particular, and he ends up in a hospital room with Billy Dee Williams. And so we got Billy Dee Williams to come play himself. And he was, again, gracious and marvelous. And he, I don't know if I have it here somewhere. He signed
There's the chair, folks. Everybody likes to see the chair that the guest is sitting in. You've got a cool chair you're sitting in.
He signed my Millennium Falcon. That's my Billy Dee Williams signature.
Wow, very, very cool.
Very nice guy.
You know who's very impressed by that? My sidekick that's usually always with me every night, George Burns.
Oh, look at that.
He loves that, what you just showed, and he sends love.
Is Gracie hiding there somewhere?
Yes, she's taking a nap right now.
Okay.
He's got his cigar and everything else. Can't go wrong when you have God on your side. Remember he played God in the movie?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Really great photos and just great stories and memories. Here's another one.
Oh, yeah, that was Anna. I think that was right before it was near the end of the last season I did on that show. And she had just been so wonderful to work with. Again, I just look like I'm losing my mind.
I was saying, like, what are you actually saying or thinking?
I was trying to look like a douchebag who was impressed that he was standing next to Anna Faris, and I ended up just sort of looking like a douchebag.
I was just about to say, did you succeed, or I don't know?
I succeeded too well. Yeah, Anna was great. She was just a delight to work with as well.
I'm with him.
This is Joe Coy, incredible stand-up. He guest starred on Mr. Iglesias when I was doing that at Netflix about a year and a half ago. And he was, again, just could not have been a nicer guy.
Yeah.
And so I was like, let's take a goofy picture.
Martin Sheen.
Now, this should not technically be in my showbiz photos because I met him at a political event. but I was like, it's the third cast member from West Wing that I have a picture with. So, it's like trading cards. You got to keep going.
And he does voiceovers for so many commercials too. He's got that wonderful voice that just stands out. Like some of the Morgan Freeman and James Earl Jones, Burgess Meredith. Remember when Burgess Meredith used to do Honda commercials?
Honda. Oh, I didn't remember that. I
used to do Honda.
Yeah, he had a great delivery. And
Peter Frampton. Wow.
Peter Frampton. Yeah, that he guest star. These people come and guest star, and you go.
It's cool. Yeah.
He did his own voice on Family Guy back in the day. And, what an amazing cultural icon and really wonderful guitar player. Kiss also came and did their own voices.
Oh,
and
really?
I did not get a picture with any of them, but that was hilarious because they were like three-dimensional stereotypes of exactly what you would hope Kiss would be like.
Gene Simmons and the
Gene
gang.
Simmons was saying the most insanely actionable sexual things to everybody. And
did you ever see on YouTube? Take a look. You've probably seen it, but on YouTube, it's very funny. It's when they were introducing Kiss to America. That was like the late 70s, right? Yeah. And they were guests on the Mike Douglas show.
Oh, man.
And he's sitting next to Toady Fields. And you should see Toady Fields' reaction and some of the things that she said during the conversation. The audience was in stitches. It was so funny. It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Toady Fields, Kiss, Mike Douglas.
Yeah, they must have been completely shocking when they first showed up.
Especially with the talk shows back then. Yeah. is another great shot.
Rainn Wilson, who isn't a Rainn Wilson fan? Yeah, I had actually briefly met Rainn Wilson. I was on a show at Fox, and I ended up dating somebody, one of the actresses on the show, who had worked with Rainn Wilson in New York. And at that point, he was still on The Office, but he was directing a Chekhov play just with friends, actor friends of his. And they did it in a suburban house where they put chairs all along the wall inside a house. And they did the play. I think it was Uncle Vanya. And you would sit in the chairs along the wall, and then they would just do the play in the house and move from room to room. And I was so impressed. And he lost his lead, and he had to step in and be the lead as well as direct it. And so I met him that night. And then all these years later, he ended up guest starring on Mom. And I got to tell him that story. and here's the other thing I will say about Rainn. I mean, he's so funny. He is a rare actor who will ask you before he tries some weird thing that he's thought of. And even rarer, 90% of the time, what he cooked up is great and often better than what we'd thought of. So he was so gracious about it, but he would come over to where all us writer producers were and say, is there, I just have this idea. Can I try a different thing at this moment? And we would go, oh yeah, please. And then it would just kill. He's massively talented and a massively smart, nice guy.
That's fantastic. That's really amazing when you think about it, huh?
Yeah.
Jeez. Here's another great shot here. Let's see.
Is it me standing next to somebody?
Yes, French Stewart.
Yes, another Third Rock. I was like, because I think Kristen Johnston is here somewhere. I've always been a huge French Stewart fan ever since Third Rock, and he was reoccurring on Mom. And I think the first season I was there, we didn't bring him back at all. I was like, I wanted to meet French Stewart, and then we started bringing him back. He had done the little known. He was in the original Stargate movie as one of the soldiers, not a comic role, but a good friend of mine had done makeup on that movie, and she loved French Stewart. And so when I met him, I got to say, Lisa Collins told me to say hello, and he was like, I remember Lisa. And again, he couldn't be a nicer guy. His comic delivery is so odd and interesting. And he has a kind of jazz freestyle, like some actors, they do exactly the same. Like Allison is extremely controlled, and she can do exactly the same thing. She'll usually intentionally give you like 3 slightly different things. And with French, it always felt a little like he was going, all right, let's just see what happens. And it gives his performances, I think, a kind of edge of your seat life that really comes across, I think, on screen. He's amazing.
So are you when you're dancing during a Family Guy wedding, or?
Yes. Oh God! Now it's been so long. I think this was.
You never auditioned for the Rockettes?
This was. No, I'm a dancing maniac. I don't know if the video of Tim Allen talking about me ever came through, but it's basically him telling a goofy story about me dancing. And this was. I think this was Matt Weitzman's wedding. It's been so long now, I can't remember. But that's in the background. That is Mark Hentaman, who was on the show for many years, also created his own animated show, ended up running Family Guy for a while. He's an animator and a writer, and just again, such a nice guy and so talented. I'm dancing with him and his wife, who is the sort of the woman who's looking aghast over in that direction. Well, as I can't point into the photo.
Good word.
Yeah. You got to cut loose. Oh, yeah. This is it. I put this because it's mentioned in the viewing audience. I sent Jim this long, crazy bio because he asked for a bio. It was the only one I had on hand. When I was at CAA, before all writers had to fire their agents, CAA is a giant agency in LA, and they said, would you write us a bio where you mention all the weird, quirky things about yourself and your life that you can remember? And so
like
mine's
being
quite
stalked.
long. Like, yeah, having been stalked and all kinds of
Broken bones and playing cards with gypsies on a night ferry across the Mediterranean.
Yeah, I've had all kinds of strange experiences. But it's a very smart thing, because show opportunities, writing jobs will come up where they're like, oh, we really need somebody who understands things about teaching or has spent time in Africa or something. And so I ended up listing an unusual number, because I didn't start writing until I was in my early 30s. So I had a chance to do a bunch of weird stuff. So one of the things I mentioned is that I am lucky enough to be pretty much lifelong friends with Tom Lehrer, who is a genius satirical songwriter who put out some records in the 50s and 60s that are still extraordinary. His wit and lyricism is just, and I mean, his wit and lyrics and lyricism, just unbelievable. And that was a picture of me with Tom Lehrer at his 80th birthday. He's in his 90s now. And still, the last time I spoke to him, extraordinarily sharp. But he's one of these people that I consistently run into comedy writers who idolized him. There was a writer on Mom who talked about how Tom kind of saved his life. Just the fact that he could listen to these songs in his difficult childhood was like, somewhere out there, there are comic geniuses that I can aspire to.
Yes, absolutely. Table read too. Tell us about this one.
Well, every sitcoms always have table reads. There's a whole process that I could describe, but once you get the script pretty much, you hope, ready to go, you have a read where the actors all read it out loud, and those get set up in different ways, but roughly speaking, they look something like this. And this is when I was on Mr. Iglesias on Netflix. That's Gabriel Iglesias in the middle, and Sherry Shepherd, and a whole bunch of other wonderful people. This is also, excuse me, on Mr. Iglesias, this is what it looks like when you're shooting. This is the writers standing around peering at their scripts. Hopefully none of these.
Is it stressful? Is everybody under stress, or is it relaxing?
This guy, DJ, just called me today. So if we had been able to connect, I would have asked him permission, but I hope he's not mad.
It looks fun.
It is a weird combination of fun and stressful. And it really depends on who the showrunner is and how the show is being. That's just a shot of my office door.
Cool.
I was a co-exec producer on that. And
sure.
When you're shooting in front of a live audience, and it's a little different when it's a single cam where there's no audience and you're shooting it more like a movie, but even it happens then. But when you're shooting in front of a live audience, sometimes a joke just doesn't work. And sometimes the showrunner will just say, I believe in that joke, we're going to leave it in. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you have to, they will literally turn to the writers and say, beat that joke. And they mean like, come up. Oh, that's very kind of you, Joan. Thank you. They really mean like, when they say beat that joke, it's like, come up with a new joke for that spot by the time we reset and shoot this again. So you might have 60 seconds, you might have 4 or 5 minutes if you're lucky.
Yeah.
And so it's fun, but it can be very high pressure. I mean, even being in a writer's room has that quality. You're in there and you're all working together cooperatively, but at the same time, you're also like, you want to beat everybody. You want to get your joke in or your story idea in.
Right.
So you're trying
to competing with one another, even though there's respect and collaboration, everybody's on the same team. Are you competing with one another to get that joke in?
It is a strange combination of cooperation and competition, because if somebody, I mean, there's a lot of different ways it can go, but basically, theoretically, you all want the best joke that can go in, but you want it to be yours. And the only way to make that happen is to genuinely pitch the best possible joke there, better than anybody else can think of. and good writers will support each other too. If somebody pitches something that's great, that's something else I tell aspiring, when young people become writers, they call them baby writers when it's your first job. And one thing I tell baby writers all the time is be an easy laugh. If other people pitch stuff, don't sit there going, oh God, I wish I'd, just laugh at everything that you legitimately think is mildly funny. But it is true, especially as you go up the ladder, if you're not getting jokes in, your job's in jeopardy. If you're not figuring out story fixes, your job's in jeopardy. Like at a certain point, people are going to stop hiring you if you're not winning that competition a certain amount of the time. And a lot of writers also specialize where you kind of say, oh, they're kind of a joke person or they're a story person. I've been lucky enough to be called upon to do both.
How do you deal with the stress? Is the music an outlet for you?
Yeah, I always say I think it's really, because I've always enjoyed creativity in general. And one of my mantras is it's very important to have creative outlets that you're not getting paid for.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. Yes,
right?
Definitely. Yes.
Because I took my comic ability and my writing ability and I sold them. One might say, hoard them out, but I sold them.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I'm a less funny person in person than I used to be, because I think I spend so much time professionally thinking about jokes. I joke around, but I'm sort of like, oh, that's work now.
Look at this question from Maureen in Arizona. Does your brain ever keep you awake at night? It seems that your creativity would be difficult to turn off. Are you always soaking up and absorbing constantly?
Well, and I think, part of the reason that I function the way I do as a creative person is I'm very energetic, something that I inherited from my father. That it's very easy for that to lead into stress, particularly because, again, I've been so fortunate because I have barely had, I haven't had a job this last year, but it's been the pandemic, so everybody's kind of forgiving. But before that, it was 10 years since I didn't get a job. So, given how unstable this career is, I've been really lucky to work a lot and to have a steady job. That being said, there's always stuff to worry about. So the combination of creativity, high energy, kind of unstable, crazy jobs where you're jockeying for position. Yeah, I definitely have sleep issues.
And there's probably times where you've thought of walking, like all of us have, but yet it calls you back because you love it and it's what it's what you do. And there's this thirst and love of the craft, of creating, of these opportunities to take thin air and turn it into magic somehow.
Well, yeah, the wonderful thing about how fragmented this industry can be is that if you wait around, as long as you're working, if you wait around a little bit, you're going to be on a different show. So if you don't like where you are, there's another show with a different personality and a different tone and a different group of people and a different showrunner, which is hugely important. So, yeah, I had one experience it was a while ago. It was a little more than 10 years ago, where I was on a show where the hours were so long and the experience was so difficult. I did think it's good to, if I ever get into that situation again, I will leave. That was too much. But almost anything I can put up with because I know something else is coming. And as you say, the work is, even under difficult circumstances, the work is just delightful.
Is it addicting?
In a certain way, yeah, because when it's like problem solving.
I understand it. I asked that because I'm asking for myself too, to relate. Mm-hmm. I get that quality of it being very, with all the stress and all the craziness and everything that goes on, there's still something about it that draws you in.
Well, yeah, it engages a lot of different parts of my personality.
Exactly.
Not all of them, but writing is an extremely intellectual process in that there's an enormous amount of, like I say, puzzle solving.
Right.
And you have to be able to kind of think in these strange, abstract ways, keep a lot of information in your head. And at the same time, it's also very creative and very, at a different stage, connected to emotions.
And
So
there's deadlines and the
it's a
action
very, the work has a richness to it that stretches between thinking and feeling.
yeah.
And you referenced this a little bit a second ago. There is that crazy feeling of like, I remember when I was an assistant, even though I didn't like it, I did pitch a joke at some point that involved a prop. I can't remember what the prop was. And it went in the script. I was like, oh my God, I got a joke in the script. We go down to the stage the next day for the run through. And of course, they have built the prop and it's sitting there. This thing that I just thought of, I was like, I'm a god. I had a thought, it has been made manifest.
Yeah.
So like, and in subtler ways, that versions of that experience are still really gratifying, where you get a great idea for a story, you get a great idea for a joke, and with a little work and a little tweaking and a little, there it is, and it's on the stage and hopefully on the TV. And that's really, and then people enjoy it and they laugh at it. I did a panel at Comic-Con years ago that was a joint Family Guy American Dad panel. And there were a couple of us who had been on both shows. And it was incredible because it's Comic-Con, it's enormous. And we're literally in front of an audience of 4,000 people, far and away the biggest group of people I've ever been in front of. And after we'd all yammered on about this and that for a while, they opened it up for questions. And one thing as a comedy writer, we all tell each other periodically are things like, oh, everybody needs to laugh. That's what's valuable about what we do. Or, at the end of a hard day, people need us. But there's always a little bit of desperate, like, are we actually real writers, like drama writers? Even though we often say we have to do all the work they have to do, plus we have to make it funny. But we try to justify, we're all a little insecure. And I swear, the first person who got up out of this 4,000 seat auditorium to ask a question just said, there was an episode of American Dad called Stan of Arabia, where they moved to Saudi Arabia for 2 episodes. And it's a funny look at how certain conservative views in America match up with conservative views in Saudi Arabia, even though politically they're completely at odds with each other. And this guy got up and said, I'm a soldier. I was stationed in the Middle East. My sister sent me that episode, and my buddies and I watched it over and over again. And we laughed and felt like somebody understood the strange wonderland we were stuck in. So I don't really have a question. I just wanted to say thank you. And like, oh my God, like here Memorial Day weekend, to have anybody, but certainly in particular ways, a soldier get up and say that, it was like, wow, we actually maybe are making people's lives easier in ways that we'll never know. And that all this circles back to that also keeps me going, because I just think if I can make this funny enough, somebody who might really need it might get a laugh.
Does it ever come with a self-imposed burden and or responsibility, knowing that the humor, the comedy is lightening the load for many, that they turn to it, especially, this whole year of pandemic and everything we've gone through, comedy, nostalgia, childhood memories. All these things that have flooded back that people have gone to and turned to, the arts, music, everything, have helped people sort of soften a little bit what has gone on. Does it ever come to you, as much as it is thrilling and exciting and hard work and all the rest, is there ever a I self-impose the burden on me all the time when I do anything? I'm always like trying to strive for excellence. And I know I'm always thinking of the end result as I'm doing it. How is this going to inspire? How is this going to empower? How is this going to lighten the load? How are people going to react? And sometimes that can be a responsibility that you've placed on yourself. Do you have that as well as you're creating the comedy, knowing that it does impact people in such an extraordinary way?
Well, I think it's a little different for a couple of for me for a couple of reasons. One is there are so many stages along the way from thinking of a story idea all the way to getting it onto television. There are so many different steps that have their own challenges. It's hard to stay totally focused on something quite as long distance and abstract as that, even though it's meaningful. I definitely, like I say, I want it to be good. People are going to see this. I do have a responsibility. But one thing that happens is I'm so focused on the challenge in front of me. Like, we've got to figure out this story. We've got to get these jokes better. We got to figure out why the second act isn't working. We got to figure out how to cut this, how to edit this episode so that it's better. And that keeps one in the moment to a certain degree. Now, the other thing is much more self-involved. But the other reason I think I don't think about that as much is that it is also super stressful. You feel like you're on the line enough of the time that, like I am periodically, I'll hit stretches where I'm just not funny for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I can't think of anything funny to say. I can't think of a fix for a script. I'm just like, oh my God, I suck. And it goes away and everything comes back in focus. But those those are the moments where I feel like all stressed out. It's because it's about me and I'm self-involved.
But enough about me.
Yeah. What do you think about
that? And then you were passed a note.
Oh yeah.
No, that was a halfway spit take you did almost.
Yes, it was almost a spit take because I knew what you were going to put up.
But you didn't want to spit on the $1,000 laptop.
I worked with this on Last Man Standing. There was a young writer named Gracie Charters who was so great and so smart. And we shared a lot, even though we were decades apart. She was much younger. We had all this weird passions and interests in common. And one of them was Star Trek. And I've been a crazy Star Trek fan ever since I was a little kid. And you can tell from the nature of this note what a detailed Star Trek fan we both are, because she's like top 5 Spock episodes. She lists 5 episodes and just wrote discussed. She passed me this, and of course we're trying to work, but I'm immediately engaged in.
Now you have to tackle that.
is this side of paradise truly a top? I'm like, so that just one of the great. It kind of goes back to it's the positive side of your question about the sense of loss when a show ends. Yeah, the different kinds of bonding you experience with the different writers is so moving. It's so fun. It's hilarious. The connections you find with each other.
Absolutely. And here you go. Here, everybody working hard. Last Man Standing.
Yeah, this is another. I probably should have asked everybody, but this is the Last Man Standing writers' room. I just snapped a shot at some point. Just a bunch of great writers.
Yeah, even a gag cake.
Well, that was from Mom.
Mom, yeah. Coffee. So
the other thing, the other thing that happens in these writers' rooms, it's a kind of crazy bunker mentality. You spend so much time together, and you get this happens in romantic relationships too, where you get crazy running jokes going. Well, you get a room full of comedy writers who spent months together, and the running jokes start to kind of bifurcate and embed in each other in this sort of fractal pattern of complexity.
Bifurcate. I haven't heard that in a long time. I got to remember that one. I love bifurcate. Bifurcate.
Fractal into the same sentence.
Fractal.
There was a Coffee Mate commercial from the 70s that's on YouTube that we used to watch on Mom. I think it was either Nick Bakay or Warren Bell who got us onto this. And it's so stilted and bizarre and dated. And
probably on YouTube, you could see it probably, I'm sure.
It's on YouTube, yeah.
Yeah.
And so
who's the actor? That's not
I don't know. He was some character actor from those days.
He almost looks like I forget the name of the gentleman that played the lead, the father on Dallas. JR's father on Dallas.
Yeah, I don't know.
He always looks like him.
But I think it was Nick's birthday, and we had gotten so many laughs out of watching this thing over and over again. They found a place that would print photos on frosting on the cake, so they printed stills from the commercial and then used dialogue from the commercial and rewrote it so it's a birthday message to Nick. And it's an incredible, bizarre inside joke, but it speaks to how delightful the experience can be when you get, I mean, so many of the shows I've worked on, the writing staffs have been incredible, but I got on to Mom and I look around the room and I go, oh, like half the room or more are current or former showrunners. Like that staff was so insanely top heavy, so much, not just talent, but experience in that room. So yeah, you get some delightful craziness going sometimes.
What kind of cake was it?
I don't remember.
This is a foodie crowd. They're probably like, oh, what kind of cake was that? Stage 20 stairs.
Oh, this is just one of my,
that's cool stuff. I take pictures of things like that too. It's when you look back, when you look at your scrapbook of memories, when you're 95 on that porch with the lemonade rocking in the chair, it's going to be cool to see all this. I'm very much like that. I sort of document the things I do.
Why I do it, and
great.
Yeah,
it's terrific.
It's just a little pressure relief, when you're in the middle of an episode and you're like, oh, I'm just going to be a photographer for a minute and try to get a cool shot of these giant stairs going up at the edge of the stage.
Yeah, exactly. Got a couple more here, and quad split.
Yeah, I just, as I was sort of flipping through my millions of photos, I just thought, well, I don't know, people might be interested in this. When you do multicam sitcoms, which are the ones you shoot in front of the audience, you can see the audience in the background there. The reason they call it a multicam sitcom is you usually have at least 3, usually 4 cameras rolling at the same time. And that means you get it makes everything speed up enormously, because instead of going, oh, we'll get a close up on him and then we'll do it again, we'll get a wide shot, we'll do it again. You can get all those, theoretically, you can get all or most of those shots all at once, and you don't have to run it 14 times in front of the audience and reset all the lights in between.
It was Lucy and Desi who thought of that. Lucy,
that's right.
Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz with Desi Lynn.
Exactly. And so when you're a writer or writer producer, you are often on stage, you're looking at this thing, which is called a quad split, which shows this is a view of what each of the 4 cameras is seeing. And when you're really skilled, you get so that you can tell which of those 4 shots is relevant, what you're actually going to be using at a given moment. And that way, if, God forbid, the director has choreographed the cameras and gotten the shots in such a way that he or she is missing something, you can say, can we do it again? But can you get this? Can you get Gabe in a 2-shot so we can get Joe's reaction? Or what, you have to be thinking about editing while you're looking at 4 different images and thinking about performance. So it's a complicated process, but again, it's fun because it's hard.
Yeah. What goes into it is extraordinary. Being, in the industry myself, it's extraordinary. Even being on set for something as what would seem simple to most as a 30-second commercial can take days, hours, weeks for it to be shot the way they want it, and everything to be for 30 seconds of your life. It's the amount of time and people and talent and rewriting and lighting and all of it. We gotta, the sun's going down, we gotta speed up, we gotta match the lighting because the sun has to match, and just all of these things that for people to actually be on a set and watch just one day of everything, whether it's a commercial or a TV show or a film or Broadway play, whatever, they have a real extra appreciation of just what it really takes to do what seems so effortless and easy and simple, huh?
It's really true. And of course, a significant difference between a 30-second commercial, which can take 5 days or whatever, and TV shows is that the way to make the economic model of TV work, it has to be a factory, which is wonderful as a writer, because you need, the network model is disappearing like the dinosaurs, but when you need 22 episodes of a show every year, that's just an enormous amount of writing that somebody has to do. But to make that work, you really have to be able to shoot everything in a week. And that means rehearsing and getting all the props and getting the lighting and getting the costumes and getting there's an enormous amount that goes in. You have to be able to do it week after week after week. Usually you'll get a hiatus thrown in here and there, but it's really a factory, which is impressive in a different way when you start to see, God, we've gotten so fast at shooting this stuff. And you get on some shows that really do, even with an audience, you'll just shoot the whole thing in 2.5 hours. And it's like, okay, good night.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
Which is amazing. Yeah.
This is cool to have.
Oh, yeah, I threw that in there. I thought people might. I still have that somewhere. I think it might be. I think it's up on the. Oh yeah, it's up on the wall somewhere here. That was my door tag at Family Guy when I got hired there 20 years ago.
Can you imagine that 20 years ago already? And then it's autographed Doonesbury. That's cool.
Yeah, that when I was also, I think I might have been on American Dad by the time this happened, because I feel like, but Gary Trudeau, who was a big deal for those of us who are a little older, he drew this. This is a Sunday panel, a Sunday comic of Doonesbury, and it's a joke about Family Guy. But when he first wrote it, it was about The Simpsons, and his son said, no, you got to make it about Family Guy. Because at that point, this was whenever there's a date on there somewhere. There's also
and his wife is Jane Pauley, right?
That's right.
CBS Sunday Morning and the Today Show. Jane Pauley is Gary Trudeau's wife.
And his son said the hip show now is not The Simpsons anymore. It's Family Guy. And so we were all delighted that those of us who had been on Family Guy, and as I say, I think I was on American Dad by this time, that he did that, and he actually came and visited, and we got to meet him and talk to him. His son was with him. And he said, if anybody, if you want me to sign, you can buy copies of this online. Just send them to me. I'll sign them and send them back to you. So I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I just bought a copy of it, and he wrote a nice little message and sent it to me. So
that is really cool. That is really special here.
Weird things.
We have a music video too that we want to show, to slide a little bit into the to the music element. Do you want us to show it and then we'll talk about it after?
I think I should introduce. If I know what this is a clip.
It's the one I showed you the clip of before. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's just a very brief clip. It's a song from my first CD. With just a little bit of video footage that seemed appropriate at the moment. It's almost like a TikTok video using my own music. But yeah, this is a song from my first CD. That's all.
It's a very cool shot, the way you're off to the side and with the background. It's almost like you're hosting some sort of sci-fi special.
What? You mean the shot that you're looking at now?
The way you're off to the side.
Yeah, well, I've learned, because when you put stuff in the middle, then I can peek out the little window.
And with the background, that Amazon background, it looks like you're hosting something on Sci-Fi Channel.
That's right.
That's our creature feature.
Yeah, I remember that show.
That's it. All right, here we go. Here it is. Enjoy, folks. And he is going to play live too.
Just a super brief little,
that is what you call
TikTok video. Just a little snippet of a song.
That wasn't a TikTok video. That was just Tick. We didn't even get the talk.
Yeah.
So where can they find the longer form version of that?
Well, that really is just a short video that I just scored with a piece of that song, because I like that song. That song is on my first, both. I've got a full-length album and an EP and another one coming out soon. They're both on Amazon and on CD Baby. If you want to buy an actual physical CD, people are still selling those. Yeah. And that's a song from that I was really proud of, that came out really well.
That was I think there was just under, which was perfect, just with CD Baby. There was just under the copyright claim probably amount. If it was longer, we probably would have had that within seconds.
Well, luckily I own it.
That was That was perfectly strategized.
I promise I won't sue us.
I see. Here's I like this shot. Tell us about this one. This is cool.
Oh, that's my friend PJ, who directed one of those videos, took this shot. This was just, I needed some promotional shots, and we were at a beach up a little north of where I was living at the time, and I just liked it because I'm like, I'm going to pose seriously with my guitar. And then this woman who was on the beach was like, I'm going to photobomb that guy.
Oh, so she wasn't part of it?
I have no idea who that woman is. Wow. She just thought it would be funny to get in the shot, and I love it. It makes the shot 10 times as interesting. It's me in waves.
Before we have you play live, I just want to show people, we have a few here. You also really enjoy, again, ever the creative, photography as well. Tell us about some of these great shots you've captured here, Michael.
I mean, this was a sort of shooting fish in a barrel shot. I took this in Iceland. It's one of the most famous waterfalls in Iceland.
That's the hottest spot on the earth right now, literally. Everybody, because of the volcano. Have you seen the volcano that's going off?
No, I haven't been paying attention.
Starting in March, it's a major volcano has been erupting for 2 months straight in Iceland. Beautiful place.
And this was, it's a stunning place. And the only thing that was at all significant about this is that I put my camera on a tripod and used a long exposure to get that kind of silky look to the water, so that the long exposure means that the water has a chance to move and blur in the shot.
Right.
And it captured something for me about how spectacular that is. Those are people at the bottom, those little tiny figures.
Where is that, near Reykjavik? Where is that shot?
It's on the south coast. It's east of Reykjavik. I think about a day's journey, if I remember correctly. It's called, I can't remember now.
Yeah.
One of those great Icelandic words.
Yeah, the pronunciations are.
But I love
that shot.
Oh, and this, I took a bunch of photographs of fire, which I used as.
And I see a face.
Which I used as promotional stuff, and for my EP. And one of the shots of fire had this incredible head that looked like a dog's head.
Yeah.
So I called it Fire Dog, and I used that in some promotional stuff too. I just liked the way it looked.
That's unbelievable. It really does.
I was staying at a little place in Palm Springs that had. Oh, and I was driving with a friend to Burning Man some years ago, and she was a photographer as well, and we just took a journey off the road to go find stuff to photograph. And I just loved. I don't usually shoot things that are very balanced, but the balance of this was pretty nice. Yeah. And it was just a spectacular view that captured something of the scale of Central California.
Yeah.
My beloved state.
Reminds me of the drive I took alone through Death Valley. Very similar sort of, which is a very cool drive. Here, this is nice. This is great.
Oh yeah, that's Watts Towers.
It is.
Yeah, and I just had, I think, a little cheap camera with me. But it was. We got there late in the day, and I just loved how the sun looked behind. I just got this chance to do some silhouetting, and so I was able to capture that. As you can tell, somebody pointed this out to me after I'd been shooting for some years, and I'd never really thought about it. He was like, your photos are all so empty and desolate. And it's really true. I
tend to do that too. Yeah. Where there's not a lot of people. It's more landscape and buildings and oceans, but not a lot of people.
Yeah, and a lot of emptiness, or there'll be a single figure. And I don't know if that's representing some part of my interior life, or if it's just, again, a kind of an antidote to how much time I spend with so many people most of the day.
Probably is.
And, that it feels like a relief to have that emptiness.
Yeah. Yep. Here's another example of that.
Oh, I was in St. Louis, and that's
part of the Arch.
I'd forgotten to bring, the day we went to the Arch, I had forgotten, and it was the end of the day, this beautiful light. I had forgotten to bring my wide angle lens that I thought I had. And I was like, God damn it, I think I only had a 50 millimeter lens or something. But the great thing was I was forced to take a picture of the Arch that doesn't look like every other damn picture of the Arch in the world. No, it
doesn't. The color of it too is.
I found stuff in that, in the angles, but as you say, also in the way the light was hitting it, that I never would have found if I had done the boring shot that was in my head. So this is one of my favorite
Is that the sun reflecting off it to create that sort of bronze sort of look to it?
Wow. Exactly. Sort of golden hour.
Yeah.
Going down.
And the angle and
and this weird, and again, I tried different angles, but I was like, no, it looks more interesting when it's cockeyed like
you know what it looks like? It looks like the Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah, there you go. It's the Rainbow Bridge.
It is
up to Asgard. And that was just there was a stretch where I was playing with night photography, and I was in the middle of a crosswalk in Santa Monica doing night photography, and a car got irritated and zipped around me, and I caught his taillights.
So what creates the elongated color scheme like that?
Again, I had the camera on a tripod, so it's not moving, and that keeps everything else in focus, but it was a long exposure. It was like, I can't remember, it was like a 4-second exposure. So that car took, that's the whole, it must have been longer than 4 seconds. That's the whole distance the car went in the, while the lens was open. So yeah, it came out great. I was very happy with it.
Did you want to play some material live for us, my friend?
Sure, I can play. I would love it. I've been so busy with these pitches. I'm like, God, I haven't played my guitar in ages. So I will try playing one thing, and we'll see if I even remember it. And then, yeah, I think my wife is going, why are you not helping with the kids? Where are you?
Do you still have to make dinner?
No, luckily. Yeah, that not my evening to make dinner.
You timed that good.
Yeah. So
tell us about the guitar. It's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. This is a guitar that I've had since I think I was 17 years old. It's shaped like a Martin, but it's a Takamine. It's an F340S, and they made them in the mid-70s for a while, and they were called the lawsuit Takamines, because I think Takamine got sued by Martin for copying the design. But they are also quite sought after, it turns out. I just have had it and loved it forever, but a professional musician told me that people tend to love how they record. So this is something that I've found. I've gotten great sounds out of this. Unfortunately, I just put new strings on it, so it has a kind of, I don't love new strings, but it's got a really nice sound when
it's got to be worn in a little bit.
They're very sort of sparkly for a few days, and then
for the musical aspect of what you do, are you always recording in the studio as much as you can, making CDs, releasing material, and is there any sort of concerts or tours that happen?
I don't, again, the golden handcuffs of TV are such that I don't have a chance to perform out very much.
But you'd love it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would love to do more of that. It's been literally years. So what I end up doing is writing songs. I'm in my home studio, and I record things here. I record things with friends. I've been co-writing with friends recently. I have written or co-written, I believe, 9 songs during the lockdown. Maybe it's 10 now. And they're all, I have relatively finished versions of all of them, but then I'll just get another inspiration and so go, well, I got to write that.
Yeah.
So
I try to do that. How do you describe your style for folks who are going to be introduced to you for the first time? Is it an amalgamation of a lot of different things?
It's sort of eclectic indie rock is good. I tend to mix acoustic and electronic instruments. That will not be true at this moment. But yeah, I like mixing different sounds together because I feel like it keeps every sound more interesting when there's something different right next to it. And that, like on my first CD, I literally, there's standard rock and roll instruments and acoustic guitars, and there's also a theremin and gospel singers and, just anything that a song feels like it calls for. I'm like, let's try that. And if it works, it stays in. So
what would you like to share with us right now, my friend?
All right. So let's see, maybe I can tip it down a tiny bit. So,
guitar.
This is a song this song is called These Days. It's from my first CD, the CD is called Blood and Vanity. And I picked it because we're finally about to finish the video for it after a long time. And it's also because it's been a little while. I'm like, okay, a lot of my songs are very weird and complicated, and this one's a little more straightforward.
Is your material on Amazon, Spotify, iTunes?
Yeah, it's on iTunes and CD Baby. And if you want a physical CD, you can still get them from CD Baby. I still love physical objects. I like reading lyric sheets. But yeah, it's available. All this stuff is available on iTunes. And I've got, if you go to michaelshipley.org, that's my website, and it has links to all different kinds of crazy stuff.
michaelshipley.org. Perfect. Yeah. Excellent. All right, my friend.
All right. I'm going to put my, I'm going to take this out and put it down.
Yeah. A little bit of a switch with the audio. Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. So this is These Days from
Blood and Vanity. From Blood and Vanity on the Jim Masters Show live. Thanks for sticking with us, everybody. We love having you here on the Jim Masters Show live on a Friday night.
I met a pretty girl, she gave me the world, I threw it away. Pain, passionate and vain, throws a pretty picture all across your brain. I swallowed up the sky, trying to get by, but I faded in the rain. Dreams filling up with steam, I don't know what it means, but it makes me want to scream. And I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know why. But I know you could come, we could drink some rum, we would sleep on the plane. Phone calls fall away, maybe we should stay lost in this tropical haze. And we don't have to explain these days. Bells ringing in the air, no one's really there, just half a broken voice. Walls everywhere you turn, teaching us to learn that fear's our only choice. Wheels turning up the speed, and hearts that cannot bleed, and time is getting mean. There's more than I could ever see, like a miniature TV with a film by David Lean. And I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know why, but I know you could come, we could drink some rum, we would sleep on the plane. Phone calls fall away, maybe we should stay lost in this tropical haze. Then we don't have to explain these days. It's very complicated, it's bigger all the time. It's louder and I think it's hungry, and it's coming down the line. Oh. Guns laughing out the dead, spitting out the lead over something in their bed. Clocks crashing from the sky, smashing like a lie into everything we said. Tricks piling up with sticks all around our feet like a fire to be fed. Hanchun handering to stead, savoring the prans of overstitial pred. And it's all just nightmare nonsense, and I don't know why, but I know you could come, we could drink some rum, we would slip on the plane. Phone calls fall away, maybe we should stay lost in this tropical haze. I know you could come, we could drink some rum, we'd sleep on the plane. Phone calls fall away, maybe we should stay lost in this tropical haze. And we don't have to explain these days. These days.
Fantastic. That's cool. I'll do that again so you can hear it. Fantastic. That's cool.
Thank you. Yeah, but now I have to turn the light. My wife came in and started flicking the light on.
Did she?
Yes.
I know it did get brighter. It did get a little brighter. So you've been light flicked. You've been light flicked. What does that mean?
Yeah, I don't know. It was good. It was a light show. It was also probably like, where are you? But or like, he must be done with the interview if he's playing that song. Like, who's gonna? That song's old.
Well, let me show you some of the things coming in here. Kathleen in New York City, claps, claps, claps. My friend Mary Bishop in Florida. Cool song, Michael. And they, throughout the entire broadcast, they've been commenting and sharing all the lovities. Our viewers would call them lovities. They've already said you're one of the lovities, so you're in. Maureen,
thank you.
I have all the awards you can get to get a lovity on the Jim Master Show live. How's it make you feel? Pretty good,
very good.
That was a fun song, Maureen. Works in
you.
The healthcare industry in Arizona. God bless her. Merlin in Canada. We love Merlin. She gives you claps. She gives you toasts and guitars. And
that's so nice. Thank you.
Marty in Nashville says, "Good day, mate. Great lyrics and melody. The Last Man Standing is an awesome show." He's asking about your contributions to the production. You're a producer, right?
Well, I was a writer and a producer on that. So yeah, I wrote a bunch of episodes and worked on the writing on a bunch of episodes. Worked with the actors, sometimes made casting choices and helped out with other things.
Did you enjoy that? Do you enjoy the producing and those other, hats as much as the writing? Would you consider going into that a little bit more if you wanted to?
Well, the way TV is set up, the kind of producer that I am, you're always a writer. Pretty much, you're always a writer. So I really appreciate it because it just gives my life there some variety. If I had to pick one single favorite part, it's probably when I get to go off by myself and write a draft. But I love all the rest of it for different reasons too. Working with actors, working with directors, it's all great. I mean, I worked construction. I crawled under houses and tore my back on rusty nails while Black Widows dropped in. I'm like,
Black Widows dropped.
I'm serious. I mean, like, I've done all kinds of crazy stuff. So again, it gives me an appreciation. I go, this is way better than a real job.
Between that and as a kid, living overseas and just having the background of your family and your parents and everything, it's very well-rounded in many different unique ways. It isn't just the Ozzie and Harriet situation. You've really had cultural influences. And
I apologize. I have to, my wife needs me. I have to go.
That's the kids are getting anxious.
Yeah. I've run over the time that So yeah, I better jump off, but it's been really great to talk to you, man. Thank you so much.
This was fantastic, Michael. Really a pleasure. And again, you've had a wonderful experience in life and all these different places you've lived, places that you've had an opportunity to work and shows you've been on. Good luck with everything. I hope the show met whatever expectations you had.
Oh, absolutely. This was delightful. And thank you to everybody who's been watching and listening and for all the beautiful comments too. I really appreciate it.
All the lovities. Absolutely, my friend. We appreciate Owen as well. And you take care. Good luck with everything. And let's stay in touch, my friend. Hopefully, if you're on the East Coast or I'm on the West, we'll get together. I'd appreciate it.
That'll be terrific. Absolutely.
All right. You take care, Michael. All right.
Thank you. You too. Thanks, everybody.
Fade to black.
Fade to black.
Take care. With no credits. We don't need to roll the credits either. His wife calls, so he must go. But it was a pleasure, wasn't it? We chatted for a good amount of time too, and he played live for us, which was great. He's a great sport. Thanks, Michael, from Mary. He'll watch this later as well. And he's got the kids there and great fun tonight, Michael. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us. Keep shining. Absolutely. And he'll see those comments later on. You guys are the best. You're here with us through thick and thin and throughout. I think that's awesome. You take care, Michael. And Kathleen, super chat. Thank you very much, Kathleen. Cool show. Thanks, Jim and Michael. We really appreciate it. That's part of our super chat that is brand new on YouTube, and the super emojis too that we do. Kathleen, you're the best. We really appreciate that very much. We work hard with these shows, and we love doing them for all of you. Hopefully you learned something, you were entertained, maybe you learned something about some of the shows that you've watched, or just maybe about the way some of the industry works now when you watch television and movies and other types of things. You get a different take on some of the backstory, a little bit about how it all comes together, how it all gels. Again, he's worked on Family Guy, of course, which you know, and he was a producer, writer on Last Man Standing, which was on Fox. That's Tim Allen right there in the center. And American Dad. And of course, on CBS, which just wrapped, very popular show, Mom. And that was a really cool, he shared these photos with us. And that's a very cool, very memorable photo for his collection. It says, great script, Chuck Lorre, who, of course, is the executive producer of that and so much more. There's this cool shot, too. We didn't talk about this one, but I wanted to tell you it's really, really amazing as well. And again, musician. It's funny that what he said about that shot with the girl that came in there, sort of, just like a photo bomb situation. But you got a chance to see also some of how it all comes together. You know what I mean? Behind the scenes. And I love the behind the scenes stuff. I'm always, myself working in studios and everything, the script writing, putting it all together, what it all takes to do what seems like something very simple, but is also very demanding and, but rewarding in many ways. You get a chance to express yourself in so many ways. We thank Michael for joining us here on the show. It was great to have him live and direct from Los Angeles, California as our guest. And again, michaelshipley.org is his website. And he spent a good deal of time with us. I appreciate that. When we do these shows, we don't put a clock on it. The guest can stay as long as they want. I'm here just as long as the guest is here, I'm here. And you guys are here. So we're doing this together. And we always say, how much time do you have? And we let it roll. And whenever, if the guest needs to go or the lights are flickered or whatever, then we sort of neatly wrap it up. But it's really a pleasure to get a chance to chat with all these guests and to also have you with us, because you make the show just as much as the guests do and I do, the lovities, the viewers. There was a wonderful comment that came in here earlier that I wanted to highlight, and it's from Joan Sando, and I really appreciate this. Thank you, Jim. Us lovities are so lucky that so many talented artists of every genre are so happy to be asked by you to be on these live shows. You are the best host, so I'm glad I found you. That really, I don't take comments like that lightly. That really is beautifully said and eloquently said. And I thank you very, very, very much. It shows me that you really enjoy what we're doing here. The light, the levity, the education, the inspiration, the anything can happen. And it was really, really cool. You guys are amazing. Actually, you're right. I'm lucky I don't have to drive home after each show. I've been for so many years, and I, in my professional work, I am on planes and in the car and going to all these studios and doing a lot of mileage. But with this show, I'm here. None of us have to travel. The guests didn't have to travel. You guys you could be Merlin in Canada. You could be there in your pajamas right now. Unless you sent in a picture quickly, I wouldn't know. You could have your feet up. You could be having a hot toddy right now and some roasted peanuts, and you could be in your pajamas watching this. Could be. And maybe I am too. Who knows? If the camera were to dip down, who knows? If, all you see is a shirt. You're so true. You're so true. And Kathy says, Merlin's a trooper. Kathy's a trooper. Kathleen, Christy, you guys are all troopers. We don't do, if you notice, a lot of the guests say, oh boy, I wanted to send you a lot of content, a lot of video, a lot of photos, I want to perform. I want to do all these things. But most times I never get a chance to really express myself or emote or tell my story or my life's journey, because a lot of times when people ask me to come on a show, I'm talking about what the guests say to me. A lot of times when I go on a show, they only give me like 10 minutes. If you look at the average talk show or news program or interview show, the guest isn't really on for any substantial length of time. I mean, unless it's a one-on-one, like Dick Cavett used to spend about an hour plus with that same guest or a couple of guests. We may also do that too. How would you guys like that? I'm thinking about that for future planning. We might do future episodes. We're booked with guests. Oh boy, we had 7 guests just booked today. We have about 3 to 4 guests booking a day. There's like almost like a standby line, a waiting line to come on the show. And I think it's because of the warmth, the feeling, the authenticity to the show. I think it's all of you interacting. I think it's the comfortability. We allow you, the viewer, me, and our guests to express themselves, to have fun. There's nothing scripted or forced, or, they don't have to fit into a box. We can go in any direction. The conversation goes in any direction. The content goes in any direction. So we have a certain format to our show, but we season it and pepper it with different essences of all kinds of different things during the course of the live broadcast. And I think people really like that. One day, I think I'm just going to share with you the letters, the phone calls, the texts, not everything, but just a general gist of the feedback that I get from the guests who have been on the show, as far as how much they enjoy not only the time, but the amount of time given, the flow, the nature of it, that we don't rush them. We don't say, okay, keep it moving. Let's go. Tell us about the book. Tell us about the movie. What play are you starring in? And then goodbye. If you notice, we really go through a lot of different things, and the guest sort of jockeys along with the flow of it. And I think that's a far more richer experience. I don't call what we do here interviews, because that's question, answer, goodbye. These are conversations. These are rich conversations. Some of them epic, many of them epic, with a lot of interactivity and a lot of flow, and it's enjoyable. And I look back at some of these shows, and sometimes, I binge watch the show too. Your Mr. Lovety, the bingeable Mr. Lovety, you guys have deemed me here. Sometimes I'll binge watch the episodes too, because as I'm doing the episodes, I'm so engaged in the conversation, and I'm looking at all the technical aspects, the lighting, and, as much as I'm the host, I'm a producer. So like Michael would know, I'm looking at all the technical production aspects of what's happening when we're live, as much as being totally all in and engaged 110% in the conversation. So there's a lot of things that I see and I'm doing and that are happening all at once. But when I binge watch afterwards, when I'm kicked back and I'm not hosting it and producing, and just watch it, I find it enjoyable too, because there's some things sometimes that I'll miss. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. We went into that conversation. Boy, that was cool. Or I remember that funny moment. Or I remember that comment that viewer or Lovety shared with us. I remember that gel that happened between myself and the guest, and the viewers popping in said, oh yeah. One of the great things that I like about everything that I do in my career and that I share here on this show is relatability. I think one of the keys is to relate, to be relatable, to be open and authentic and real, and to be relatable. Michael says, he's a television comedy writer. Humor is the name of the game for him. And I believe humor is something important, in the right moments. You can't always be yuck all the time. But I think humor is essential. Music and humor and conversation, these are essential ingredients in life. And we incorporate them all into this experience. which is what a lot of people have said. A lot of the guests, even friends of mine who or colleagues of mine who I work with in the professional realm of television, radio, who follow this show and watch this show, have expressed to me that there's a relatability, there's an authenticity, there's a warmth, there's that old school vibe with the modern vibe. And, we really take the time to make an impact. And that's what we're doing here every day. And one of the reasons why I turn on the lights and we do this every day. So whatever it is you guys get out of the Jim Masters Show live, I thank you very much for being here as often as you are. We realize not everybody can be here every night. We have lives to live, but I know many of you tell me that you binge watch later. If you miss an episode because there's things happening in your life, you'll watch later on our YouTube channel at Jim Masters TV. And all the episodes are there for you. And we archive them there so you never miss anything, because I know you really like to follow along. We have created something quite special here, gang. We really, really have. And we all, many of us have met each other for the first time. And that's a beautiful thing. And a lot of you have been very open about your lives and, sharing so much with me as I have with you, and the guests do as well. And there's funny moments, like with Michael, his wife was flickering the lights. Oh, Jim, I got to go. Those lights flicker. You better go. so, but you also got a chance to see the chair. So again, there's another score, because I know the viewers love to see the chair that the guest is sitting in. And Michael had a pretty cool, fancy chair, didn't he? And that background with the lights and everything that he bought from Amazon and quickly constructed so he could be on our show was pretty cool too. And it did look like when he was off to the side and you had the background behind him, that like he was doing, like, hosting a sci-fi special on the Sci-Fi Network or something. It just had that sort of cool vibe to it. But anyway, you guys are the best. We're going to be back tomorrow. We have a very, very special tomorrow broadcast. It's going to be quite amazing. We have Daisy Conway coming. She is going to be live and direct from Ireland. She's so excited. She has a huge following, and social media in the United States and in Ireland has been all abuzz for the last several days about Daisy coming on the Jim Masters Show live. Daisy's been excited. We've been excited. I'm excited. She's going to be live. She's going to perform live. She's a spectacular singer, songwriter, and musician. We're going to do a very special early episode tomorrow because she's in Ireland, where if we did it at 7:00 at night, our normal time here, Eastern Standard Time, it would be way too late in Ireland. It would be like starting the show at midnight. So her family and friends and fans and followers, it would be midnight for them. So we're going to do it at 3 p.m, which will be noon Pacific, and that'll be 8 p.m. in Ireland and Scotland, England, GMT time. So that's the reason why we're doing it at that time. So that way it's earlier in Ireland. So, and if you miss it, you can see it later. But Daisy Conway is fantastic. She's going to be with us tomorrow. And then we're going to be off for the weekend. Saturday night, Sunday, and Monday, we're going to be with family and friends for a well-deserved, needed mini break to spend time with family and friends. We're all vaccinated, double vaxxed, or as my friend Patrick McEnroe said, vaxxed and relaxed. And now I say that to everybody, I'm vaxxed and relaxed. So as is the family. So we're going to be getting together over the holiday weekend to spend some quality time and to relax from my professional work and take a day or two from the Jim Masters nightly show here. So we have the show tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, 8 p.m. GMT. And then we'll be back on Tuesday. Again, this is only for those who are watching live right now. The rest who watch normally, binge watching. None of this really matters, but we'll be back on Tuesday. So we won't be here Saturday night, Sunday, or Monday. I may do a quick little, TikTok type sort of quick video, hello, or something, maybe in the course of the weekend, and throw it on our YouTube channel or our Facebook pages at Jim Masters TV and our JMS Levity Hall pages. But the majority of the weekend, we will be spending time. We really haven't had any time off the whole year between this show and my television and radio work. And, so many people haven't been able to see their relatives because of the pandemic. So now this weekend, we're going to take some time. I do want to let you know that coming up this week, we have, next week, we've got some extraordinary people that are going to be guests. But next Saturday, tomorrow is Daisy Conway live from Ireland at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. But next Saturday, I have joining me a dear friend, Rob Evan. Rob Evan was in Trans-Siberian Orchestra, one of the co-creators of Rocktopia. He has been the lead in so many Broadway productions and off-Broadway productions. He's an incredible actor, singer, musician, producer. Very excited. I interviewed him several times on PBS. He invited me to come to Broadway when Rocktopia was on Broadway. It was also a public television special. And I invited a group of dear friends, and we all got together for dinner and drinks. And we saw the show on Broadway, and then got to go. I took the friends backstage so they can meet Rob and the rest of the cast. At that time, Mairead Nesbitt, who you know from Celtic Woodman, who's another dear friend, she had been in that show as well. He's going to be with us a week from this Saturday, and we're really looking forward to it. I also want to let you know that Marion Ross, who played Mrs. Cunningham on Happy Days, is going to be with us as well. Oh, it's going to be amazing. And also Eileen Graff, who played the mom in Mr. Belvedere, that sitcom in the 1980s. She's going to be with us as well. John Davidson, legendary actor and singer, TV show host. He had his own talk show, The John Davidson Show, game show host. That's incredible. Hollywood Squares and so many other game shows. Brilliant singer, songwriter, musician, actor, comedian, TV host, game show host. John Davidson is going to be here a week from this Sunday. I'm excited about that too, because I love, the fact that he's, a film star and everything else, but I love the television side of his career, the game show host, the TV talk show host. He's a guy that's really, I try to do that too. You got to have versatility. You got to, like Michael was talking tonight, you got to dip your feet in these industries in a lot of different things. John Davidson is somebody who certainly has touched upon so many different aspects as an actor, a singer, songwriter, TV show host, game show host, so much more. And he's got this cool place up in New Hampshire. It's called Club Sandwich. And I think it's Sandwich, New Hampshire. We'll find out more about it next week, but I can't wait to take a ride up. We'll probably take I-95 north to get there. We're not that far from him. I want to go up to check out his new place. He's got a wonderful mini intimate concert venue in New Hampshire that he opened up, which is where he lives in New Hampshire. And we're going to go up and see him. But he's going to be my guest and joining all of us a week from this Sunday. And that's going to be great. And there's buckets and buckets of incredible guests. We are booking now, I think, the last week of July already, and I'm talking about day after day after day after day of shows. As summer comes, we might be taking, a couple of days here and there because it's summer and we want to be at the beach. We want to take time with family and we want to enjoy. But we'll still be here for you guys. And yes, we will be show tomorrow. Yes. And that's at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific. And then we're going to take some time. Oh, I forgot to finish what I was saying before because I'm thinking of 100 different things at once. I wonder if you guys would enjoy it if we do a show. We may test the waters. We're always tweaking this show. I get bored sometimes, and I always like to fine tune and tweak and grow things and come up with new ideas to keep things fresh. And I'm big about that. So we might do something where we have a couple of episodes where we have several guests. Now, on our anniversary special, if you still didn't see our epic 1-year anniversary celebration episode where we had all those guests and all those videos and all that viewer interaction, check it out. It's on our YouTube channel at Jim Masters TV. It's JMS Live Epic 1-Year Anniversary Celebration. It was hysterical and it was very moving. You can still see it. It's on our YouTube channel. But I'm thinking about maybe doing an episode where we have a couple of different guests in one show. Meaning, say, for example, we had Michael Chipley that was on for maybe a half hour, 40 minutes, and then we wrap with that guest. And then as the show is still on, we have another guest that comes in. And our next guest is kind of like talk shows do. We have this guest, and then for a certain amount of time, and then we wrap and say our goodbyes to them. And then we have another guest that comes in, 8:45 or whatever it may be. So I'm thinking about that. Let me know if you guys would like to have that. We may test the waters and do a couple of shows like that where we do, a couple of guests in an episode as opposed to just one guest the whole time. Having the one guest the whole time is cool because you can really dig deep and you can spend some real good time with them. But I'm thinking about doing a couple of special episodes where we may have a couple of different guests. So each guest is on for not a short, but a certain amount of time. And then we'll have another guest that could be from a totally different realm of life. It wouldn't necessarily mean where you have one actor and then you have another actor, or one chef, another chef, unless we do a theme show, and we're building some of those too, where we do those foodie shows and those holiday shows, and we've done themed types of shows, host chat, levity chat, pop-up shows, and we've done themed shows for St. Patrick's Day. People are still watching the St. Patrick's Day episode that I did on St. Patrick's Day, where this whole set was green and I had that funny hat on and I'm wearing a green sweater, and that was funny. But we do theme shows too. We're also, now that we can move around, we can travel, we're going to be taking you on location. That's right. As beautiful as this home studio is, and we love it, this is our home base, even though we tweak it every once in a while, we're going to take you on location as well. And those of you who were with me from the very start of this series, back in early May of 2020, you may remember some of the very first episodes, we actually were on location. I took you to the water. I took you to various spots where I was walking and talking, and, we were sort of feeling out how we were going to do this. I wanted it to be unique, special, not like everything else that's out there. So we're going to be taking you on location to some really cool places. And I was actually approached a week ago by a promoter of various artists who is asking if I would be willing and wanting to take this show on location and do some of what we're doing on location in certain venues. That's very, very cool. And so, there's a lot of different things we're doing. Also, hang in there. We're finalizing the details of the Levity Cruise. I was just talking to my friends who own the travel agency, and we're meeting for dinner next week, because now you can do that. And we're going to finalize everything. So the Levity Cruise, I know many of you want to do that, and I'd love to do it and meet as many of you as possible. And the Levity swag too. So I love that idea. So we're thinking about that. We might do a couple of different guests, kind of couch style. Obviously, everybody's in all these different locations, so we wouldn't necessarily be sitting on a couch, but we may do it where we have a couple of guests as opposed to just one guest. I'm going to toy with that. If you guys, I see comments coming in. I think some of you are saying it's a great idea. You like the idea of having, a couple of different guests. It's just, booking the guests and getting all the schedules together. It's already a big task to begin with. But if we can do that, I think that would be cool. I know you guys would love it. And I'm seeing comments pouring in here. Marty loves the idea. Mates on the same page. I love that. And Maureen says, great idea. I love the idea of changing guests. That would be fun. Different guests coming in and one special episode. I love it. I love it. I love it. Owen and Jason and Marty and Dee Dee all on the same page, sharing stories, know about each other. Now there's a show. I think that's a good idea. We may do that. We'll do a broadcast where we have a couple of different guests on. We did it on the anniversary show. So again, we had Jason Thompson on, and Owen Darrow was on, and we had Kathy Garver from Family Affair. We had Ali England on. We had Tess LaBella. We had Elaine Ballas on, all at the same time. And it was like Hollywood Squares. It was funny. I don't even know if I got a word in edgewise. I just let them roll. You know what I mean? I just kicked back and said, hey, let's have fun. And it was great. It was really, really great. And I thank them all again for hopping on. They all wanted to be on the anniversary show, and that was beautiful. So I think we may do more of that for you. We have so many things we have coming up. Stick with us, folks. We have so many things that I'm tapping all the different areas and the people I know and, working in these industries, and everybody's just so gracious and so excited to want to come on this show and be a part of the show and share the show and tell everybody about the show. And that's amazing. It really touches me doing this work for so long in the industry. Joan says, Jim, you're the expert so far. We all love what you experience is produced. So whatever you want to do, we have your back. Go for it. Wow. I love that, Joan Sando. That makes me feel really fantastic. I appreciate that. Sounds great, Jim. Thumbs up from Cleveland, from Kathy. Triple thumbs up from Kathleen. We go from Kathy in Cleveland, thumbs up, and triple thumbs up from Kathleen in New York City. You guys seem to love that idea. And Claudia, thanks for being with us as well. Have a great night. Happy Memorial Day weekend to all. It's a very beautiful weekend. It's a very poignant, it's a very special weekend here in the United States as we remember those who have sacrificed for all of us. We all have members of our family who have done that, if we have not done it ourselves. Merlin says, rest Jim. Thank you, Merlin. You guys are always watching out for me, and I love that. True lovities. Enjoy your days off. You deserve it. Thank you very much. We'll be back with Daisy Conway live from Ireland tomorrow. It's going to be epic. And thank you, Mary Bishop. Mary is always there, too. She's a real troopity. Troopity. I just came up with another word that slipped out. A troopity is a trooper and a lovity. So you have lovity, and then tier 2 is a troopity. Troopity. These words just come out of my mouth, just like lovity did. How is this happening? Where is this energy coming from? So Mary is a troopity. Troopity. Now we're going to have to figure out how we spell that. So you have viewers, and then you have lovities, and then you have troopities. So those are people who are troopers. They're always here. They're always posting on social media. They're always engaged. They even, Mary has suggested guests. Troopities. The JMS Troopities. Sounds like a rock group, doesn't it? The Troopities. So that's viewers and lovities who are troopers are the JMS Troopities. We'll see if we continue with that. We still love lovity. We're going to always keep lovity, but troopity, that's kind of cool. Troopity, the troopities. Whew. I have to copyright all these words. Kathleen says, have a great night, Jim. With a ton of spectacular emojis. Kathleen, I think you're double vaxxed and relaxed, right? So I think we can be getting together soon now, right? I know you have every other night almost at Citi Field there working with the New York Mets, but we should be able to get together for a bite to eat soon, which, wow, that's going to be epic. It's been long overdue. Do a call-in show for them to say hi, like close up and personal episode, take viewers' comments, suggestions, and levity. It's nice to know that we can go to our happy place each night. I appreciate that. Claudia, your show is so fun and relaxing as well. Perfect. That is exactly the balance that we strive for. Fun and relaxing. And we always learn something too, right? You troopities. Kathleen says, to me, you have made me smile at times when I didn't think it would be possible. So thank you again. I know that. And and this is the first part of that. This show means a lot to me. You have made me smile at times when I didn't think it would be possible. So thank you again. The pleasure is all mine, Kathleen. Absolutely. It's all mine. And cheers to you, Merlin, as well. You've been very open in very different ways too. Marty, oh boy, that's our super chat. Thank you very much. Look at that beautiful color. I love that color too of that super chat. Please, lovely, support Jim Masters show. Marty, thank you. I appreciate that. That's what you call super chat. And there's also super stickers too. We get these really funny emojis and we get to highlight the comment and celebrate it as well. Marty, you guys are the best. And Kathleen as well. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That really does help. We really appreciate that. All the work that we do here and all the content and investment and equipment and everything that we do and have been doing for a year. Thank you, Marty. You're the best. Glad I was here tonight. Have a great night. See you soon. I'm off next week. Yay. So you are off next week. That is awesome. We will be throughout the day as well on Saturday night. I know it's going to be strange not seeing you guys on Saturday night, Sunday, and Monday. I might pop in with a quick, on location sort of video. It's supposed to rain around here. Yes, Troopity. You love it. Yep, Mary, I see you guys love it. So there's the viewers, the lovities, and the Troopities. The Troopities are troopers who are lovities. They are like the super dedicated. They're always commenting on our Facebook pages. They're always here. They always send in photos when we say, hey, we're going to do an episode with photos. And all. They're always there. The Troopities, the JMS Troopities. The Lovity Troops and Lovity Squad. Let it be known, on this date, we became JMS Troopities. Absolutely. It's a triumph of Troopities. And Babette sends her lovity. Love to Babette, right back at her. She's amazing too. Thanks for another wonderful show with Michael. So enjoyable. Good night, lovity and Troopity friends. And Jim and Kathleen. I will be in New York City a few weeks for 3 nights, and I'll send you a message soon. Oh, cool. Fantastic. That'll be fun. Keep us posted on that. That would be great. Maybe we'll be able to get together. Yeah, absolutely. We're right here in the New York area. Yes. Along the coast between New York and Boston. All right. Just want to make sure I don't miss any of these great comments that are coming in here. Yeah. Thumbs up from Kathleen. Hi, Jim and Lovities. Hope everyone is having a great Memorial Day weekend. You always have great ideas. Hugs and love to all. Hey, Mona, we did a chicken dish tonight, and we used those Cajun rubs that you sent me. Oh, we took boneless, skinless chicken, and we put it in the pan. We put it in the oven. But we used the Cajun rub, and we just sprinkled a little of the Cajun rub on each piece of chicken. And we took fresh peanuts as well, and we placed peanuts on the chicken and around the chicken. So the chicken was sprinkled with the Cajun rubs that you beautifully and generously sent me from Louisiana. I love those Cajun rubs. They are delicious, Mona. I wanted to know, I posted it in our Facebook group, JMS Live Lovely Hall. I think I commented on your comment about something. I just wanted to let you know it was so delicious. We've made it twice this week. We took one of the Cajun rubs that you sent, and again, we sprinkled it lightly on the chicken breasts. And oh boy, they were not even like big breasts. They were more like tenders. And then we put it in the oven on 350. We did it tonight. And we did it 2 nights ago because it was so good. And we put the Cajun rub on it, which was delicious. And some peanuts, fresh peanuts that we got too. Not out of the can. These are fresh bagged peanuts. And we sprinkled them over the chicken. And we let that bake at 350 for 1 hour. We also put a little water in the pan too, a little, because, and just a little bit of salt and pepper, just a little bit. And because we wanted all those juices to marinate. Oh, I'm doing a foodie show here. I should save this for another foodie episode, but I want Mona to know because she sent these beautiful rubs, Cajun rubs. Really delicious. Oh my God, if you want the Cajun rubs, you got to get them from Louisiana, USA. She knows because her family, I believe you said your family has a restaurant there and all. So you sent them to me as a gift among the coffees and everything, which were delicious, Mona. So again, we took the chicken tenders boneless chicken tenders, beautiful chicken, and put it in the pan, wrapped the pan in foil, placed them in the pan. I did the cooking. I came up with this recipe. It was delicious. Sprinkled the Cajun rub on each, just let it lightly dusted it, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and then took fresh roasted peanuts and placed them on the chicken slices in the pan, put some water in the pan. And the reason why we put the water in the pan is obviously to keep the chicken moist from drying, but also to then sort of engage a little bit with the rub, so that way the rub would absorb into the chicken and the peanut flavor would absorb. So the peanuts became roasted peanuts. They were lightly roasted peanuts on the chicken with that delicious Cajun rub and a little pepper and salt. And then the water that was placed in there became almost like a light broth. So what we did was we took the chicken out 1 hour, a little bit past an hour, maybe an hour and 5, an hour and 7, 350. Took the pan out, took the chicken slices out, put it on the dinner plate. Peanuts were still on top, and then there were other peanuts sprinkled that were floating in the broth that was created with a mix of that Cajun rub. And we took one of the big serving spoons, and when we had the chicken on the plates, we scooped some of that broth that had the Cajun rub that had gone into it, the peanut that went into it, a little pepper and salt, and then drizzled some of it. We didn't dump it on like a soup. We just drizzled some of it lightly on each strip of chicken. Wow. It was so good, Mona. We had it 2 nights ago, and we just had it again tonight. And adding the peanuts, the fresh peanuts, which we actually got from Trader Joe's, the fresh peanuts, and the way they lightly roasted, they didn't burn because, again, you had the water and you had the moisture. They just sort of roasted and toasted in the oven. Wow. Delicious with that Cajun rub. Yeah. So, Mona, thank you very much. I wanted to let you know, because you're probably wondering, what did we do with the rubs, those Cajun rubs? Absolutely. That's so yummy. So glad you enjoyed the spices. I'll send you some more if you like. Oh, they're delicious. Thank you very much. I'll let my cousin know how much you enjoyed them. He will be excited. My pleasure. And thank you again. That chicken dish. I wish we had leftovers right now. I'm getting hungry telling you about it, but it was great. And again, the peanuts on top, the fresh peanuts, they roasted lightly on top, and that with the chicken, with the Cajun rub and that light broth. It was delicious, delicious, delicious. And you're coming to New York, the 18th to 21st. I'd like to see anyone that lives in New York or nearby, now that we're all double vaxxed, vaxxed to relax, finally feel safe to travel. Plan to see shows in New York City. Awesome. Fantastic. So I have to look at the calendar and see what's happening, because I know we have shows at night here, but maybe there's a way to do some of these shows on location. And you guys could be on the show with me, maybe. I have to think about that. We'll have to find a spot in the city where maybe we can take the show on location in Manhattan, and whoever's around maybe can be here, on this side and this side, and we could all be on the show together. We'll have to see. I'm always thinking of creative ideas. Jim, I'm going to text you after the show. All right. That's great. And Troopity Lovity, you got it. Troopity Lovity. I love chatting with you too. We're doing a little host chat here since we have the show tomorrow and then Memorial Day weekend. Hi, Jim and Lovities. Hope everyone has a great Memorial Day weekend. You always have great ideas. Hugs and love to all. Thank you again. I will never think about those spices and Cajun rubs ever again the way I thought about them before, which I've always enjoyed them. But boy, those flavors are amazing, Mona. Louisiana's the place. Babette, thank you very much. Super chat with that beautiful turquoise color. Thank you, Babette. We appreciate that. Babette, Michelle Lee, we love you back. Thank you very much for that. Your support of the Jim Masters Show Live. We really appreciate that. That's what super chat looks like, folks. And there's also super emojis too. It's like super stickers. It's brand new. And some of the shows are doing that. And I think it's really, really cool. Thank you, Babette. Appreciate that. Lovely hugs to all. Claudia, thank you very much. It's a blessing to have you here. And you guys are the best. And Maureen says, yes, Troopity, love it. Troopities, you guys are the Troopities. So we have our Lovities, we have our Troopities. Boy, these mugs and T-shirts and caps and everything else that we have our designers creating are going to have. What would you like on them? We are coming up. We have the logo pretty much set, but in terms of what the shirts that you would want to wear, as opposed to us just creating them and saying, here it is. I love to bring you guys in, especially the Lovity Troopities, the ones who are always here. We're thinking with our designer about something that says like, I'm a Lovity on the Jim Master Show Live. Something like that. Or, I watch the Jim Master Show Live, or I love the Jim Master Show Live, or whatever. But I think the I'm a Lovity on the Jim Master Show Live would be cool on some of the swag that you guys want, right? We were toying with the designs, but now we're toying about the wording. Obviously, you'd have the show name on there too, but I think because we have this community-minded sort of thing here, the whole Lovity thing, I think that would be cool to have that on mugs and T-shirts and hats and all that. I'm a Lovity on the show. Then there might be some people who don't want to wear a shirt that says I'm a Lovity on the show. So we could just say, I watch. If you have somebody in your family that says, I'm not going to wear a shirt that says I'm a Lovity on the Jim Masters Show. What the heck is that? So if you're going to give a gift for them, maybe we'll have it say, I watch the Jim Master Show Live, or I enjoy the Jim Master Show Live, or JMS Live, or what have you. But for those of you who are the diehards, we'll have I'm a Lovity on the Jim Master Show Live or JMS Live. I think it'll be cool. Looking forward to seeing, yes, Marty's going to be a guest on June 18th, a couple of weeks from now. That's going to be great. We're looking forward to that. Absolutely. And you have a good night, Claudia. Claudia says, I'm a Lovity, or I love the Jim Masters Show. Good idea. A good idea. You want to have the picture on there too? That's a good idea. A Beatles font, all you need is Lovity. I'm a member, or I'm, how about the JMS Live Lovity Squad? Yeah, I like that. Couple of good ideas. I love bringing you guys in because you guys, without you, there's no show. Without me, there's no show. And the guests. I mean, we could always have a show where there's no guests. We've done that for a long time, but keep calm and watch the Jim Masters Show live. Levity and levity, light, love, levity and levity. LLLL, quadruple L. That would be cool. Always thinking. See you all tomorrow for Daisy's show. I will email you over the weekend, Jim, and message you and Kathleen about my New York City visit. Levity swag soon. So, so I'm a Levity on the Jim Master Show Live. I'm part of the Levity squad at Jim Master Show Live. I love this. And you want to have my picture on it too. So we'll talk to the designer and see if that's something that something we can do. Yeah. We've already got the design going. So we want it to be, we don't want to just throw something, cheap together. We want it to look nice for you guys. That's why we're working on it. We're not super rushing it. We could have done something 7 months ago and just throw something out there. Just here's the shirts, here's the hats. But we want it to really be something extra special, quality. And all right, gang. Well, this was great. You guys are terrific. I'm getting hungry now just telling you about the chicken and peanuts with the Cajun rub that we made. Whew. We did it. We just did a 3-hour show together. Wow. No lights that had to be flickered. It was funny when his lights flickered. So great guests coming up, and lots of great shows and segments and on location and host chats and Levity chats and whatever the case may be, gang. It's all about us. And you guys are the best. Really love you all. And you never know. This hair might be cut soon. Maybe I'll surprise you one day and it'll be super short. Who knows? I know it's kind of tough now. Isn't it funny how sometimes with some of the guests we get on the hair conversations, like Louis Salgado, we got on the hair conversations. Share the levity on the Jim Master Show Live. I like that too. I do say that phrase a lot. Share the levity. Tell your friends about our show. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the notification bell so you don't miss any of our content, our episodes on the Jim Master Show Live, on Jim Masters TV on YouTube. So share the levity. I like that. That's good thinking there too. A lot of great suggestions here. I'm going to have to watch this episode again to see these comments here in the chat. Don't forget, you can find us again 7 days a week, generally 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, for your viewing enjoyment. If you ever missed an episode, they're all there for you, including tonight's episode, 24/7, 365 on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. Subscribe if you haven't. Ask your friends and family to subscribe. We would love it. It really, we have learned it really does help us big time to allow us to create more content just for you and invest all of this time and all these hours, all the hours we actually put in all day long just to create and prepare the show, and then spending the time doing the show for all of you. So the Jim Masters Show Live is there for you. And don't forget to smile. Don't forget to share the levity. Don't forget to find your Zen place. My Zen place, of course, is with family and friends, loved ones and friends. And, of course, the ocean. Swimming, surfing, boogie boarding, sailing in it. I love the ocean. And we're getting closer and closer. So almost warm enough to get in the ocean, but not quite yet. And they found a huge shark off the coast, too. Not in this immediate area, but a little bit north, a couple of states north of us. And I'm like, okay, we don't need that. But I do love the ocean. And as you guys know, we've talked about it. I love all my work in television, radio, and stage, on air, on camera, behind the scenes. I've written for newspapers. I've worked for magazines, TV stations, radio stations, networks, stage. Like Michael was saying tonight, our special guest, you do a lot of different things if you care about it, and you learn a lot of different things with a lot of different people. Just want to let you know, in our fancy glass tonight, we had a really tasty German honey liqueur. No Trader Joe's pink lemonade or water or any of that. Just a little taste of a German honey liqueur that I never had before. That was a gift from colleagues, and it was delicious. And if Christine Clifton's still there, that glass was sitting on the Jim Masters Show Live coaster. That's right. I don't know if you can see it there. The light is sort of shiny, but it says the Jim Masters Show. There we go. Dip it forward. The Jim Masters Show Live. So Christine, your coaster tonight held that martini glass that had that German honey liqueur. Very sweet. Just a little taste of that tonight to sweeten up a very long and very busy week. So thank you again for that beautiful coaster. We have it right here. That's with love from Christine Clifton. And looking forward to seeing my old mate and super funny man, Al Ernst, on the 9th. That's right, June 9th. Al Ernst is going to be here. And can't wait for that. Sleep well. Good night, all. Kathleen, you as well. It's a lovely thing. You wouldn't understand. That's a good one, too. Good night to you as well, Mona, in Louisiana. And live from Arizona, a real troopity. Maureen, thanks, Jim, for everything. I just love you for what you bring to us each day. Thank you very much. And I love that you guys are also active in our Facebook group. I try to chime in as often as I can when I have some time. That's JMS Live Lovely Hall. That's our Facebook group for the show. So we've got a Facebook page that is an adjunct to the actual live show. So it's almost like the show continues. Even when we're off the air, that lovely, that feeling continues in our Facebook group, JMS Live Lovely Hall. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and of course YouTube at Jim Masters TV. Feel free to follow along. You have a good night, Maureen, and good night, gang. Enjoy your night. Mary Bishop, you as well. And good night to Claudia as well. Gang, we appreciate it. And Kathleen says, sleep well. Good night, all. We will sleep well. I hope you guys do too. Was this a lot of fun? Did you enjoy yourself? I certainly hope so. All of you watching live, and thank you so very much. I always want to make sure we always acknowledge those who are watching right now, and maybe they watched earlier, and they didn't comment, but they just watched. There's a lot of people that watch who don't comment, and that's perfectly fine. You don't have to comment to be a part of our show. And those, we get a lot of people who watch later on. I'm stunned by the amount of people who binge watch our episodes later. So if you're watching this later, after it was already done live, thank you very much. That means the world to us that you're, checking us out on our YouTube channel at Jim Masters TV. We're doing something really special here. We're having a good time at it. And I really honor and value you, everybody that watches live who comments, everybody that watches live that doesn't comment, and everybody that watches later at their leisure on demand on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. We would love it. Even those of you who are commenting right now, what also helps us is if you could drop a like on this video and any of the videos that you've enjoyed on our YouTube channel. Click like, that thumbs up like on YouTube. YouTube follows that and monitors that. So we would love it if you did that, and drop a comment on the actual YouTube channel underneath the video. That helps us as well. That's engagement. And I'm very, very big, as you can tell. I'm big on engagement. So, and Christine says, I am here. Of course you are. You're a troopity. I'm here. Love that you're using the JMS Live. Love Coaster. Lots of ideas for Loverty merchandise. Yes. Send them my way, my friend. Marty Thompson says, good night and thank you for making Bad Bet Night a great date night. My pleasure. And I toast you guys. It's empty, but I toast you anyway. Sláinte, cheers, and mazel tov, and all the rest. Thank you very much, gang. You can shoot an email to jimmasterstv@gmail.com. Any ideas that you guys have? Things, tell us what you love about the show, things that you have. I'm very open to that. I'm very big about that. I think this is an experience for all of us. That's one thing that I was going to say earlier that just popped into my head again, is that this is much more than just a broadcast or a live show. And I don't treat this really as a podcast. I treat it as like a television show in a way, entertainment lifestyle talk show series. It's an experience. This is really not just sitting there watching people talk and entertain, but there's this interactivity element to this that's quite special and unique. And I think it's something that has just grown exponentially, and it's such a cool way, such a fantastic way. So gang, I'm going to say sayonara for now. And you guys are the best. This was great. God, we did another, 45 minutes is just to host Lovity Chat here. I think that's epic. Love chatting with all of you. Thanks to those of you again who did the super chat, Kathleen, Babette, Marty. You guys are a real blessing, and that really does help our show. And any of you who want to do that, feel free. We get to extra highlight your comment. That helps our show. And the super emojis, stickers that YouTube has now, that's kind of cool too. So, all right. So I think that's it. Oh, if you had a bad day, we had this on our anniversary show. Those of you who are very astute that look at the set and see different things here. If you may remember, right next to the bronze saxophonist, right there, that's the bronze saxophonist. You may remember on the anniversary show, tucked behind me. I know it was we had so much, like we had balloons, we had a whole bunch of cool decorations for our anniversary show. We had this. So if you had a bad day today, life's not going in the way that you want it to go. There you go. There you go. There's some lovity for all the lovity troopities out there. Smile, right? Smile. Maybe I should do a whole show where this is all you see in front of my head. You just see that. Hi, everybody. Welcome to JMS Live. How's Kathleen? How's Christine? How's Kathy? How's Maureen? How's everybody? You got to have fun. You got to have fun. So hopefully that put a smile on your face. And don't forget to relax. Don't forget to relax. Don't forget to love one another. Don't forget to share the lovity. And don't let anybody talk you down or talk you out. There's a lot of people in this world who will talk you down and talk you out. Be you. Live authentically you. Life is precious. Life is extremely short. And it's unpredictable. Tomorrow is not warranted or guaranteed. So live every moment. You don't have to be climbing Mount Everest to live every moment. You could just be sitting back, having a cup of coffee, and just savoring the quiet times too. Sometimes when people hear live every moment, they think that means, oh, I've got to be jumping off bridges and I got to be doing all these, bungee jumping and climbing Mount Everest. And I got to be doing all these massive grand things. No, if you want to, but you don't have to. Just savor the moments that life gives us because they're fleeting. We're here now. And this is our experience. The Jim Masters Show Live is an experience. And we're all sharing all of these moments together. And it's a really cool thing. So I send you love and lovity. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And we're back tomorrow again with Daisy Conway, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, 8 p.m. GMT. She'll be live from Ireland. It's been it's blown up on social media. It's really cool. And she's going to be here tomorrow. We're going to have a good time. Lots of good music, lots of Irish crack and good times. One more comment coming in. Tight hugs to everyone and have a good night. Sweet be your dreams from Maureen. So we'll do one of those big JMS Live lovely hugs. Everybody squeeze in there. Can you feel it? Boom. Oh, that was a tight one. You want it tight, Maureen. That's a tight one. And hello to Henry, our new lovity, Henry, as well. Gang, all of you that are still with us, you guys are really troopities. We thank you for being with us. We'll be back tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day. Those of you who are watching this 6 months from now, where I'm talking about all this stuff that's live, Thanks for being here as well. You're fantastic. Perfect hug. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, and I'm glad you were a part of it, Maureen. Good night, gang. We do love you all. And again, we thank our very special guest, Michael Chipley. Yes, television comedy writer and musician. Really interesting conversation tonight. Daisy Conway tomorrow here on the show. All right. Goodbye is such, parting is such sweet sorrow. Goodbyes are never sweet. However, that's why we say, see you later. We don't say goodbye. We say, see you later. Right back at you. Kathleen Walker in New York and Ann Wozniak in Jacksonville. She's a troopity too. Good night, everyone. And Claudia is a troopity. Absolutely. Lovity troopities. Viewers, lovities, troopities. Different tiers of levels. And you're all great, all of you guys. All right. We'll see you again tomorrow if you're here, 3 p.m. Eastern. We'll be here in this chair on this set with the same energy. And I'll be looking for you. If not, if you're spending time with family and friends and you're going to have a barbecue and potato salad and you're going to celebrate the meaning of Memorial Day, that's beautiful too. We're back Tuesday. And on Tuesday, wow, we've got an amazing guest on Tuesday as well. On Tuesday, we have Dina Torriello. She is an extraordinary, and I mean extraordinary, pop, rock, Broadway drummer. Yes. She's going to play live for us. And I know some of you are super stoked and super excited about Tuesday's show. She's here 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific this Tuesday on JMS Live. Looking forward to that. So, when we come back from the little Memorial Day hiatus, we're kicking it into gear, coming out of the gate with more lovely for all of you on our show. Good night, gang. We love you all. Thanks for being with us. It's always a pleasure. And we'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. If not, we'll see you on Tuesday or whenever you decide you need some more fun, entertainment, inspiring conversations, amazing entertainment, great guests, light, love, and levity, and levity on the Jim Master Show Live. Take care. Good night.